Fire me up, baby! Ah! Let's go!
This guy's silky. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Welcome back. Chicago Hockey Radio. Hope you're all doing fine and well and good on this Friday morning. We've got a big show for you, and I'm excited for it. A lot of playoff hockey, a lot of stuff going on around the hockey world right now. Justin, sometimes I forget to watch that intro, and then it'll be days like today that I'll just look down and watch the intro, and it gets me so fired up every single time. I'm Lee Grossman. This is Justin Lynch, a.k.a. Mr. B-Hawks Memes. You know him. Tassos, Kirkos, and Raven Gasser are also here with us. Big show. Let's start with the biggest news, the biggest playoff game that occurred yesterday. What was the biggest playoff moment yesterday, Justin? Why don't you tell me what it was?
Oh, we're starting with it today, so we don't have to end with it. Yeah. Spec talk time, baby. Rockford Ice Hogs, Colton Dock, OT winner. 12 seconds into the overtime. I almost had the game turned off, and I was like watching your stream in the NHL games. I'm like, oh, wait, we're going to overtime here. I better turn it on. It's on for like 10 seconds, and Dock scores right away. I'm like, oh, holy shit. Perfect way to go. First game back, by the way, missed a lot of time due to injury, so good for him to get back in the lineup and get the Hogs an opening win for round 2 against the Admirals there. So that's great to see an Ice Hogs land, and they're undefeated so far in these playoffs. I believe they're 3-0, and as you said, clearly the biggest playoff game that was played last night of these last 2 days. I'd say that was really the biggest one. I think that's the one that we'll be telling our grandkids about.
Of course. Yeah. As far as the slate yesterday went, that's the biggest one. No, but we're partially joking. But before we move on, I mean, they were down 2-0 for most of the game, and then they came back with less than 9 minutes and tied it up late. And then, Colton Dock very early. Yeah.
What's the most dangerous lead in hockey, Lee?
Oh, man. I get excited when I get to talk about this. There's no lead worse than a 2-goal lead in hockey.
Yes, sir. That's right, Lee. That's correct. And we saw that not just in NHL land, but in AHL land too. So, no, good to see those Hogs doing well. And at least some team within the Blackhawks organization is seeing playoff hockey right now. We have something to watch there. Look forward to real Blackhawks going off. Love to see it.
Let's go. So big show today. We've got to talk about the Wednesday and Thursday games, and then we also got a couple of game 7s that we get to tee up, maybe a little bit of second round talk. And then we've got a Mount Rushmore, which feeling pretty good about the way that one went. And then we are having Ryan Henkel. He's a writer and reporter for the Hockey News. He covers the Carolina Hurricanes, so we're going to get to talk to him about that series. And I'm sure he was watching it with a closer eye than we were. And he'll also tee up. We'll have him tee up a little bit of that second round matchup of the Canes versus the Caps. So excited to talk to him about that. But let's get into it, Justin. Wednesday. A couple of closers. Let's start with the Caps Canadians. Capitals win 4-1. Wrap that thing up in 5. What do you think?
Brilliant. Spot on. I think I got that one absolutely correct. 5 games for the Capitals. So, I think that series kind of went the way we expected, right? I think good on the Habs for making it interesting, for taking the game at the Bell Center, right? Not getting swept. Golf claps there. Job well done. But we knew they were going to have a hard time against this Caps team. And you know what? They gave them a fight. This Caps team, it's I know it's a 5-game, they beat them in 5 games there and advanced the second round. It appeared to be unscathed there. But I will say, I don't know if I saw enough from them in this series where it's I feel great about them moving forward, to be honest with you. I do have them beating the Canes in the second round, but I'm not really sure about that one. So I don't really feel super confident about it, but we shall see. But yeah, for the Habs, right, you win a game, avoid a sweep, and I think the main takeaway for me from this series is Mr. Ivan Demidov's performance. I think his final stat line, 0 goals, 2 assists in 5 games. I think he said it before the series that he's looking forward to playing Alex Ovechkin and beating Alex Ovechkin, and just like to know what happened there. He's already losing aura points, so that's pretty nice to see. Has not scored a goal since that first period of the Blackhawks game in 7 games since. So nice job, Mr. Ivan Demidov. Outstanding performance. But yeah, for the Habs, no, bright future. Team with a very bright future. The fact that they're even in the playoffs this year exceed expectations, so they should feel pretty good about that. Yeah.
Our very own Justin Lynch closely monitoring the aura points of the other draft picks that went around Artem Levshinov in the first round this past year. Very good to know. No, I will say about the Canadians is dude, the future is really bright, and also something that I realized over the span of these 5 games is that they don't get me wrong, they need a couple more pieces. They need like a right-hand defenseman. They maybe need 2 more defensemen realistically. They need a little bit of forward depth, but I mean, with the core guys that they've got, they might be one of those just perennial top 5 power plays every single year for the next decade. Because when I look at the weapons they have, I mean, you've got Caulfield obviously on that left side, kind of in Ovi's office a little bit with the 1T. You got Suzuki in the slot. You got Slafkovsky net front. Now you got Demidov on that other side, which I know he wasn't great. He had a really nice assist in Game 4, I think it was, on the power play.
Yeah, that was all he did the entire series.
I know, but you've got Hudson manning the point too. I mean, it's like they've got their power play figured out for the next decade plus.
Oh, that was a good power play. That's a dangerous power play.
Yeah, and just the fact that they've already, in such a short time. I mean, Demidov came into the team 2 games before playoffs, and I think with the way their power play performed this series, I mean, I don't know how you can't be excited for the future if you're the Montreal Canadiens fan.
Yeah, they have their next PK Subban, their American PK Subban, Mr. Head Fake Man himself, Wayne Hudson, quarterback in the power play too. So Jacob Fowler too, they have him to look forward to a net in the future. He could be pretty good for them too. That might be the missing piece is goaltending. That's kind of what they're missing right now. And like you said, a couple of defensemen who could actually play defense, I think would be nice. They have a few who are really good on the offensive side of the puck, but could work on their defensive game. So yeah, I'd say when Fowler shows up, a couple pieces in the back end, yeah, they're in pretty good shape. Because I think their top 6 is kind of figured out. Maybe a 2C there's something to monitor because I don't think Kirby Dach is quite that guy, pal. Maybe Newhook would be. We'll see. Maybe that's one other area, but otherwise I think they're pretty set. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kirby Dach is like a 3rd-line center.
Yeah,
is that a fair assessment?
He just can't stay healthy. He's not consistent. Like he's just not a 2nd-line center, unfortunately, at this stage. He could still be, but not really looking like it. So I think somebody who would have been a nice 2nd-line center for them, Frank Nazar. I think of that trade, man. Like he would have fit in perfectly in that team. That was a swing and a miss for them. So nice job, Montreal. Like that's what everybody really should be talking about, not the Demidov Artie thing. That's kind of an indirect comparison. That's a direct comparison. That's a trade. So yeah.
If the Canadians are able to load up that forward group a little bit, maybe there's some runway for Kirby Dach to come in and like not have nearly as much pressure, especially if he's coming back as a 3rd-line center as opposed to a second.
That'd be perfect for him.
I think that could be perfect, and there's just no pressure. Do your thing on the 3rd line. Whatever production we get is great, and then maybe you could see him blossom into the player that I think everybody was hoping he would become. Well, a point you made about Washington, and I completely agree, is what'd you say? You said you didn't really see enough from them in the first round?
I didn't see enough of them. I didn't see enough killer instinct. It's 5 games, but like it really felt closer than a 5-game series, and it very easily could have gone the other way. I mean, they were kind of completely dominated on the road, to be honest, maybe except for that last game there. But actually, no, they only played 2 games in a row. But yeah, like I just don't think I really saw enough of them. Like this Canadians team was the weakest team in the playoffs, and they made it look like a series. So yeah, like I think when they have to play a real team that's built for the playoffs, like the Canes, I think they could have a hard time. I think they have enough talent on that team. They're a good enough team. They could find a way to prevail, but that's going to be like the definition of a 6-7 game series. Like that's not going to be an easy walk for either team. So I just think for a team like the Canes, that's been there, done that. That's one playoff series against tough teams. Like I think they'd be able to match up pretty well against them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Caps, it was just the closeout ability that it felt like was lacking in this series. And yeah, I agree. The Canadiens, although it was a 5-game series, they got it done at home. They looked good. To be fair, I do want to make that clear. They looked good. To be fair, they looked good in Game 5. They got it done when they were supposed to. So it wasn't like it was extending past that, like, maybe the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
But I do just think, the lack of killer instinct. I feel like the lack of high-end talent is an issue with the Capitals too. Like, people talk about their depth and how they've played, what resembles playoff hockey all year.
They're relying on 39-year-old Ovechkin and 1C Dylan Strome steering the ship here.
And Anthony Beauvillier on that line too.
Blackhawks legend Anthony Beauvillier.
Your first line is Blackhawks legend Anthony Beauvillier. A Dylan Strome, who is, don't get me wrong, he's playing
he's been fantastic.
Career and he looks unbelievable. But and then 39-year-old Ovechkin playing like 11 minutes a night. I don't think they're going to beat the Canes. I'm excited to talk to our guest in the second half of the show about it. I'm sure he'll probably agree with me. But yeah, I just not enough from the Capitals, but still, nonetheless, obviously it's been good vibes there all year long. Happy to see OV succeeding still scoring big goals. That goal in Game 5 off the face-off was an absolute ripper. So just, beautiful to see vintage OV, but we shall see with that second round matchup.
Yeah, I think another thing to keep in mind too is like the Caps have already exceeded expectations this season. Like, how many of us, I think if we went back to our season preview show, I didn't know if we had the Capitals in the playoffs. So the fact that they were the second best team in the league in regular season, have at least won a playoff series, like that's already a better season than anybody would have ever expected. All the storylines around Ovi as well and breaking the record. So it's been, no matter what, like this will be a successful season for them, like for sure. So like it's important to keep that in mind. We've definitely shifted expectations like based on what they've done in the regular season, but even if they're like a second round exit, like that's still a damn good season. Yeah.
Okay, let's move along to the Battle of Florida. That one also finishing in 5. Matthew Tkachuk famously saying, I don't know if it's a rivalry. What do you
wonder where he got that one from?
Is it a rivalry, or do the Panthers just kick the Lightning's ass every time now?
Well, I think since Tkachuk been there, it hasn't really been a rivalry. They do always kick their ass because he's never lost against his team. It's easy to forget though. Before that, it was like the Detroit Pistons, man. Like they couldn't get past them. Like the Lightning kind of owned the Panthers in like 22 and 21 and like pretty much all the years before Tkachuk showed up, it was the other way around, and they were winning the cups, and the Panthers were the disappointing team in the playoffs. But then obviously they make that trade. That I remember looking back on that trade, everybody was saying, "Oh man, they got absolutely fleeced, man. Like the Flames won this trade." And that's aged really, really well. I think that is an absolute franchise-defining move by the Florida Panthers. And like that's kind of what I look back at. Like that's like their Hossa move, man. Like that's what's made this happen. The final piece of the puzzle. This team just looks unbeatable. Doesn't matter if it's the Tampa, whoever. Like I don't see who's gonna prevent this team from winning the cup this year, going back to back. Like I'm gonna go that far. I have to go to the finals. Like if I could, I'd change my cup pick to them right now. I don't know if that's an overreaction, but it's like that's a good Tampa team there, man. They beat them in 5, and it wasn't even really close. Like everybody expected that could be one of the closest round 1 series, right? That in the Avs Star series, which has been the closest, and it really wasn't at all.
Yeah, I think some of the games. I think some of the games were like, you got the. Was it Game 4 where the Cats scored 2 goals in 11 seconds at the end, and like
that's what they do though. Like they kind of win games that they shouldn't.
It's true. Yeah, for sure. That is kind of their game plan. Is like they can hit you at any time. Yeah. But the thing is like, where do the Lightning go? I was arguing with some people on Twitter, some delusional Bolts fans. I mean, these Tampa fans, it feels like every single day I've been arguing with a new one on Twitter.
Again?
Again, because it was about that Tkachuk interview, and a guy was like, it's 2-2. What is he talking about? This is a rivalry. Like, it doesn't revolve around... It's like, nah, dude. The Panthers bring in Paul Maurice. They bring in Matthew Tkachuk. Since Tkachuk has been there, they are 8-2 in playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
last year was 5 games too.
Yeah. So from Matthew Tkachuk's perspective, it's not a rivalry. Like back-to-back gentleman sweeps. Like, what are you like? People are like, it existed 2021. It's like this Bolts team is not what they were in 2021, and I think that's
nor is this Panthers team. This is a completely different Panthers team than
that's
what
Tkachuk too.
Than pre-Tkachuk. I don't think he was studying up on the history of the Battle of Florida before he showed up. Right? He's commenting on what he's been seeing, and since he's been there, like they've been owning them. So they've reversed the trend. Right? It used to be Tampa that owned Florida, and now it's Florida that owns Florida. So. I think it's good to see. Good for Tkachuk, and I just look at that guy, man. That's a real leader. I was commenting this in the chat the other day. It's like that should have been our captain, man, in the Four Nations, Matthew Tkachuk, not Mr. Austin Matthews. I know the Leafs did win last night. I don't really care. We'll get to that later, but that's just a real leader, man. I know a lot of people who don't really like Tkachuk, but it's like I think he's a guy you hate unless he's on your team, right? He's a guy that everybody would want on their team, right? Just a perfect player, and but they'll win a lot with him.
Captain America, Matthew Tkachuk. Let's talk about the specifics of the game, though. I mean, Lightning start early, get the early goal, and then Carter Verhaeghe finally comes to life for the Panthers. But I think the biggest storyline in this is like the deadline acquisitions of the Florida Panthers to bring in Seth Jones and Brad Marchand. I mean, I know you don't like to compliment Seth Jones, and this is the worst thing ever, but I mean, the guy's been playing he almost played 27 minutes. Like he's playing 25 plus minutes for this Panthers team. No Ekblad, no problem. He's been great for them. Let's be honest. He's been really good for them. Obviously scored the winner in game 4. And then to log in another great performance playing that many minutes. And then Brad Marchand. I mean, that third line is the best third line in hockey. They're absolutely click. It took Marchand a bit of time, but now that he's locked in there with Listerine and Lindell, they're so reliable, and they proved in game 5 that they can score offensively too. Listerine obviously with 4 points, a goal and 3 assists, Lindell with a goal and 2 assists, and Marchand with a couple of apples as well. So I think that for me, that was the storyline in game 5 is just how good that third line is.
Well, the depth is like they've always had good depth, but this team, it looks even more the case. I mean, just the fact that that's your third line, like that's probably better than a lot of teams' first lines.
Yeah.
Like Brad Marchand, like just say that again. Third line, Brad Marchand. Like I know it's 2025 here, but he's really starting to fit in there. The rat in Florida was always destined to work out there, so he's been fitting in like a glove, like an OJ glove, and no, it's been looking really good there for them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be the case for and we'll talk about Leafs Panthers later, but it's a nightmare matchup for the Leafs. I mean,
they're cooked.
Like the depth of the Panthers, and Ekblad's going to be sitting. And honestly, I don't know if this is a narrative. It's not, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. You know, if this one went to 6 and Florida wins it in 6, then you start the second series with Ekblad in the lineup. But they're not going to have him because he got the 2 game sauce.
They're fine. They're fine. It's look. We'll already jump the gun a little bit here because we're kind of forced to talk about it here. Look, the Leafs can enjoy their Mickey Mouse win against the Senators, man. In fact, that took them 6 games to beat that team. Congratulations. They're not gonna. They'll win 1 game at best against this Florida team, and they'll be lucky to even win a game against this team. Like if they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in 5 games, I think the Leafs in 5 is a very realistic bet. That's not even me. Like that's just the way it's gonna go. And it won't shot me if it's even less than that. Like it's just like you said, it's a nightmare matchup. They're gonna have a really hard time against this Cats team, and I think they'll make quick work of this Maple Leafs team. Yeah.
A couple of things I want to talk about. One for both sides, the Panthers and the Bolts. I think a storyline here to be watching and paying attention to is how good is Bobrovsky going to be down the stretch here. I know he had some big moments in this series. I know he made some really big saves, and that's kind of, you can always count on him to do that. Like he's always going to pull out the miraculous. But I did feel as though there were moments in this series where he looked a little shaky. Am I off base in that, or do you see that?
I mean, maybe if you compare it to last year where he seemed like he was unbeatable most of the times. I mean, he had even last year he had some games where he was a little off, but he'd always respond. He'd always bounce back. And that's kind of been the theme of Bobrovsky in the playoffs of the Panthers. So I don't really worry about that too much. No, I think he still looks like himself. And I think as long as you have him behind you, you feel pretty confident. Yeah. Especially that decor front is probably the best I've had. Yeah.
A 221 goals against and then a 901 save percentage through the 5 games against the Bolts there, which is fine. I think as long as he's
not great, but
as long as he doesn't drop below that, I think they're going to go to the Stanley Cup final.
I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, if there's one thing you could look at where it's like if he went down or wasn't on his game, then they really don't have a backup option. They had one, but they traded him. So that's one thing. If there's anything that could be the demise of this Panthers team, maybe it would be something happening there. But no, I think Bobrovsky still got it. But here's the thing, though, like he's not getting any younger, right? And like how much longer is he going to have the top of his game here? We'll see. Yeah.
And then as far as Lightning, like I feel like we could probably talk about this for like 30 minutes, but we just don't have the time today. Where do they go from here? I've heard a lot of talk about, potentially John Cooper maybe not getting,
he's staying.
Not getting fired, but maybe like wanting a new challenge or something.
He's yeah.
Why do you have like news or something?
Oh yeah, yeah. Breezewater, GM, he said like he said today that he'll be back. He'll remain head coach. So I just want because there was a lot of speculation around that like yesterday and in the previous days, but he will be back.
The point still stands on like where does the Lightning go from here? Because I mean, look, Kucherov has no goals in his last 14 playoff games.
Hello. It was announced that Julien BriseBois said that John Cooper will be sticking around for next season.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. So yeah, he will be sticking around. Yeah.
Justin, just let me know. But and then also Braden Point not really looking like his dominant self. The power play is struggling. Mm-hmm. The thing is with this Bolts team, it's like they were amazing. Like 2019 to 2022, like fantastic. But none of these guys are getting any younger. I think they need help on the back end. I thought they were thin on the back end and people just turn their blinders on. I mean, everybody picking the Bolts to win this series. I
did not understand that, dude. Like, sorry to cut you out there.
No, go ahead.
I don't understand like the amount of media people who thought that this was going to be that this could be Tampa's series. It's like I look at this team, like they have a great core for like Tampa. But I think people overestimated that because like outside of that core, it's like if they're not carrying them, they don't have the depth that Florida has. And we saw that in the series. They needed Vasi to be prime Vasi, and he was not prime Vasi. If we want to talk about Bobrovsky not looking like himself, Vasi absolutely did not look like himself whatsoever. So yeah, like I just think it's worn off there a little bit. Like this reminds me a lot of like the 16, 17 Blackhawks. Like you're still having good regular seasons, but you're just not getting it done in the playoffs. The magic is kind of worn off there, right? It's a damn good core, but it's like you said, they're not getting any younger. They're getting older. A lot of these guys still got it, but it's like in the playoffs, they don't really seem to be putting up the same performances. Like the Chuck, like you said, it's been like 3 playoff series since he's had a goal or something. He's still getting apples. He's still doing his thing in terms of playmaking, but it's like you have to have those guys show up, and they haven't really been doing it consistently. So, look, it was a good run, back-to-back cups, 3 straight finals, 3 straight first-round exits now. I don't really think it's going to get any better here. So, but look,
I've heard like a lot of reaction from Tampa Bay fans being like, look, I think part of this is you just got to tip your cap to the Florida Panthers. You kind of get screwed getting played against them, playing against them in round 1 back-to-back playoffs. Look, that's the format of the playoffs now. You can't just like do that and be like, oh, well, let's just hope we
shrug it off anymore. Look at the Kings and the Oilers.
Let's just hope we don't get the Panthers. You're gonna get the Panthers. You're gonna get
it's
the
inevitable.
Panthers. Outside of Victor Hedman, you don't have any defenseman that can really move the puck that well. Ryan McDonough, fine, but it's like you got Darren Radish manning your second power play unit. It's just not good enough. And to beat the Florida Panthers, you have to be able to get out of your own zone, right? The Florida Panthers game plan is simple. Realistically, it's dump and chase and just more aggressive than anybody on the forecheck.
They play like Panthers out there. They play like big cats.
To get out of that, to beat that, you have to be able to break the puck out of your own end. And I just don't see this Tampa defensive core being good enough at that. So you're never going to beat this Panthers team with the way this roster is constructed, and you're never going to beat them with your power play not clicking and your best players not scoring goals.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, right? I think we saw in this series, right? It used to be the other way around, but now they no longer really match up with the way the Florida plays. So it's a mismatch, right? As long as you carry out the same game plan, nothing's really going to change there. So, and yeah, with this divisional format, it's there for a reason, right? I mean, you can't really take any team in your division lightly, or else you're just not going to be able to advance. You're not going to be able to get out of your division. So, yeah.
Okay, let's move on from that series. Although I know you and I could probably talk about that for another hour. Blues versus Jets, Game 5. Winnipeg wins 5-3 back at home. Mm-hmm. Now we're heading into Game 6 with Blues back at home, back against the wall. What did you make of Game 5 for the Winnipeg Jets?
Well, I just think it was really much needed. I mean, I think I didn't have really any confidence in that team going into that game just after the way they were manhandled in St. Louis. But you get back home and you take the dub. Pretty much every home team is every game the home team has won the series, and we'll see if that trend continues. But no, it was a important win for the Jets. Like they tend to win these close games, 1-2 games versus the Blues. But then when the Blues win, it's like they blow them out. So it's kind of been an interesting series from that perspective. A hard one to predict, I would say. It's definitely been closer than I expected. Right? Maybe I should have seen this coming, just the way that Blues team ended the season. But it's been a close series, and it's going to be one of the last two here, which I don't think a lot of people would have predicted that. I think a lot of people probably had Jets in 5. I had Jets in 5, and I was totally wrong about that. But could still get the job done in 6, like you said. But I don't know. I think the way the Blues team's looking, it won't shock me this was a 7-game series. It extends to Sunday, but we shall see. Yeah.
Some of the bigger storylines coming out of this one, obviously Connor Hellebuck saying he was going to be better because he does have to be, let's face it. Everyone, especially in Jets land, want to talk about that unreal save he made with the paddle of his stick. That was unbelievable. But it's not like he's out of the clear, right? He let in 3 of 19 for an 842 save percentage.
And that's considered a good game for current playoff Hellebuck.
Yeah, right. And that was like, Hellebuck's back. It's like he let up an absolute softie against Snuggerud. Like that Snuggerud goal was a beer league shot. Like that was
Mickey Mouse.
That was soft as can. That was Charmin soft. So I'm not ready. I bet on the Jets. I'm not ready to say Hellebuck is back. This is the new playoff Hellebuck because he still looks shaky. And then the other big storyline from this one, Mark Scheifele gets absolutely drilled, not just once, but twice. And he's not traveling to St. Louis, so he's not going to be playing tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. Arguably their best offensive player outside of Kyle Connor. After he took one kind of up high from Braden Shen. No penalty.
He's delivered a few of those hits himself, so
dude. And he
see that Jake Evans had a few years ago. Yeah,
he got away with murder on that hit. So, and not saying like you don't want to see guys get hurt.
I'm not saying that, but it's like,
I didn't really have the Shen hit was maybe a little high, and in the follow through he did leave his skates a little bit, so maybe that one was kind of dirty, but even then it's like it's the playoffs. Scheifele gives it 2, and then he gets absolutely ran through by Fox again, and then he didn't return after that. So I mean, hopefully for the Jets' sake and for the sake of my wallet, they're able to figure this out. I see tonight game. I think the Blues are. I think the Blues are going to hammer them tonight.
And that's the way it's been every game in St. Louis in this series. That's kind of the way they have to play, right? The Jets probably had more talent, but the Blues had more dogs. They've been physically manhandling them. I think that's kind of the way they have to win this series, is wear that team down. I think they have been. I think it's starting to show here. So I think if you can find a way to take a dub here at home and force a game 7, maybe that'll be the first game that we see a change in this series, that away team comes out on top. But we'll see. I think the Jets will probably still find a way here, but it would not shock me if the Blues could find a way to upset. I think it really could go either way. Honestly.
Well, the Blues definitely have a shot here.
They're in it.
They've definitely got a path to winning this. And if Scheifele's not ready to go for game 7,
that's a difference, man.
You still don't have Ehlers. I'm gonna be picking the Blues to win game 7 too.
I'm with you.
And hopefully the whiteout can come through for Winnipeg and be the 13th forward. But I think if you're missing those guys, the Blues have been doing a great job all series of getting in front of Hellebuck, making it hard on him, taking the vision away. So if they keep doing that stuff and then you don't get Scheifele back, I think St. Louis is gonna win this.
They scored at least 5 goals every game in St. Louis, and the way Helly's looked, it wouldn't shock me if that trend continued here. So at this point, I wouldn't even really mind if my bracket, it wouldn't really be busted because I think I have the winner of the series losing in the second round anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Like, same deal with the Leafs one. It's like, okay, whatever, they'll be out in the second round, but it's like this Jets team, like I view them kind of similar light as the Capitals, man. It's like I just think they're kind of frauds. It's like they had great regular seasons, but I just don't see them as true cup contenders. And again, it gets a wild card team like this Blues team, I would say is stronger than the Canadiens team, but they haven't really shown me enough of this series to really take them truly seriously. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. I completely agree.
And we called this one. Like we said this for months leading up to the playoffs about both of these teams, and I think we're going to be proven right there.
I agree. The Jets are not. The Jets are not winning anything. I'm sorry.
No,
they're just not.
They're just not good enough, man. You think this team's going to go toe-to-toe against Dallas or Colorado? Absolutely not. They're going to get hammered.
I said this.
I think the Blues could put up a better fight, honestly.
You might be
Yeah.
you might be right. I think I agree
Yeah.
with you because, dude, my problem with the Jets is they have one line. It's just everybody sitting
There's
around
no depth.
waiting,
Yeah.
playing defense until Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele come out on the ice. That's what the Jets are. They're
entirely runs through
like,
them.
and because like these depth guys were able to pitch in throughout the regular season, people like failed to acknowledge the fact that the Jets are extremely top heavy, completely reliant on their first line and first power play unit.
And that's
Connor
not McDavid
Hellebuyck.
Trisell, man. That's not going to be enough to really steer the ship
no.
there. Right? You can't afford to play that way. You have to have those depth guys step up. Which, to be fair, like if they can get Ehlers and Velarde back, that will make it'll make a difference. But it's like the identity of this team is still the same. Like it's not. Maybe it gets them a game. I don't know. It's not going to just suddenly change the fortunes there. You know?
Yeah. To wrap it up, I do want to just highlight that point that you just made. It's Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele. It's not Connor McDavid. And don't get me wrong, Scheifele and Connor. Connor's been excellent. Connor has exceeded all my expectations.
Yeah.
It's not Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid that we're
But
talking
they're
about.
not going to win you series on their own. They might win you games. They're not going to win series and cups on their own.
We're talking about Mark Scheifele, who didn't make a Team Canada roster this Four Nations, and then a Kyle Connor who got scratched in the gold medal game. So like, it's not Edmonton. It's they're better defensively than Edmonton are, sure, but you're not getting the goaltending either. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about my wager. I hope that they can steal one of these next two. But I again, if there's no Scheifele, you're gonna have to steal a game. I don't think they're gonna like outplay the Blues. But we'll see. It's why we're gonna watch Game 6 tonight. I'm on Blues.
I think for Game 6, I'm on Blues as well. Game 7, TBD. We'll see. Honestly, the way the series is trending, it would not shock me if this Blues team pulled the upset. But for tonight, I'll just say tonight, I will take the Blues as well. And I will say they win another 5-goal game. I'll say they Uno reverse 5-3 Blues tonight. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think I'm with you there. So, something like that, like a 5-2 or a 6-3 or something like that. I think the Blues are gonna get at Hellebuyck tonight. So we'll see. Okay, and that's the Wednesday slate. Before we get into the Thursday slate, we do have to send it over to the Mount Rushmore.
Oh,
your boy coming up big with the W, feeling good. Also, Tassos coming in.
Oh, you won?
Yes, sir.
Did Tassos finish last?
Tassos finished last, so I'm nipping at his heels. We were talking about it a lot last night on the stream. Obviously, not giving away spoilers, but now that the results are in and I've won, I feel happy about it. So without further ado, here is CHR's Mount Rushmore of hockey logos. All right. Welcome back, Mount Rushmore. We're doing hockey logos. So not just NHL, not just current, all hockey logos from the entire history of hockey logos. And with the first overall pick, Tassos is laughing at me over there.
The history of all hockey logos.
Yeah. Sometimes.
What's it the history of again?
The history of the entire history.
So it's just logos right now, right?
I don't think that's what I was saying.
Oh, okay. Right.
It's the entire history. All right. So remember that. The first overall pick.
So no current logos.
Stop saying that. Give me the
Thanks
Chicago.
for clarifying, Lee.
Can I make my selection?
No.
Sure.
Give me the Chicago Blackhawks.
Wow. What a tough decision that was.
Iconic, beautiful, legendary. Give me the Chicago Blackhawks.
What a terrible pick. Yeah, no, we can't complain about that one.
Shocker. Justin.
Oh, he already wins.
To you with number 2.
Well, I mean, you could argue the jerseys are nice to the logo, but I think it's a pretty iconic logo, and this might not be one that I don't care. I'm going for the picks that should be. Give me the Detroit Red Wings.
The winged wheel.
Yeah, it's iconic, right? Original 6, you can't go wrong. I'm sure all the Chicago Hockey Radio people won't vote for it just because it's the Red Wings, but it's a nice logo.
You just got to all you got to do is put together a solid Mount Rushmore, and you can still win it.
Exactly. That's the thought process, right? But that's not always how it's not always how it works in these Mount Rushmores. People seem to pick for one thing.
Now Justin has seen it. And now he's getting a little salty. It's not just me complaining
Well, I've
anymore.
lost 2 in a row, so yeah.
All right,
Anyway.
who's third? Is it you?
It would
Oh no,
be
it's
the producer boys. Over
producer
here.
boys.
We're gonna take our first pick with the Hartford Whalers.
That was going to be in my 2 picks coming up. So respect. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Sabres and the Minnesota North Stars.
Respect that.
Obviously, the Sabres logo with like the saber on it and the 2 swords crossing.
Mm-hmm.
But those are my 2 picks.
I actually prefer the go ahead, but that's respect.
Well, I mean, hey, it's still on the table. Or no, I guess it's not on the table.
Because I assume it's the same deal as the jersey
Yes,
where it's got to
it
be
is.
one from a franchise. Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is not still on the table.
So I assume you picked the tomahawk for the Blackhawks logo, right? Not the Indian.
Correct. No, shut up. Shut up.
Oh,
He just
got you.
picked the reverse retro jersey that they did, where they did just like Chicago across the
Ah,
front. Like that's what he
okay.
picked. Just
Yeah,
Nice
yeah,
pick,
for
Lee.
just
sure.
the word
that's,
Chicago.
That's the jersey Tassos is going to put on the graphic for
Yeah.
me. No, I'm doing the Blackhawks jersey that we all know.
Well, it's the logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
The
the
lo-
Mount Rushmore
the logo.
logos.
Come on.
Historical logos.
Come on.
What do you got?
Semantic merchant over here.
We're gonna take Team Finland.
Interesting. Like the lion.
The Lion, yes.
Not the flag.
Wow.
I'm not taking the Finnish flag.
That's a jarring pick for me.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. All right. Well, you took the Blackhawks. I think this is a great logo. Give me the Chicago Wolves logo.
That's a great pick.
Yes, sir. Love that logo.
It's a great logo.
Yes, sir.
I think the Hockey News one year ranked it as the best logo of all time.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, it's up there, but best of all time. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
It's up there, though.
that's a take. Is it my turn?
That's right.
Yep.
All right. I've got 2. Oh man. All right. I'm taking the Dansbury Trashers here at 2.
Dansbury. It's Danbury.
Danbury.
Not the Atlanta
Dude,
Thrashers.
this dude loves like that. Just made you excited.
Yeah. it did.
Oh, he added an S to this town that nobody's heard of until a Netflix documentary came out.
Danbury,
Let's get him on
Connecticut.
it. Oh yeah, you frequent it?
All right. Come on. Make your pick.
Jesus, this guy just irritates me. And then I'm gonna go with oh man. All right, I'm gonna go back to the NHL. I think I am going to take the I'm between like 3. All right, I went with them for my jerseys. I'm gonna go with the Quebec Nordiques.
All right.
Love that logo so much.
Yeah, I mean, the logo itself is kind of meh, and some people even kind of make fun of it because it kind of looks like a toilet seat, but I mean, it's iconic. Give me the Canadians. It's more the jerseys, but logo's cool too. It's iconic. Yeah.
Raven and Tim.
I'm gonna take a little unconventional one. We're gonna go with the Red Deer Rebels.
The Red Deer Rebels out
Oh.
of the Western Hockey League. I am going to dip into non-NHL for my final 2 picks as well. I'm going to go Jokerit's logo from the Finnish Liga. For those that don't know, it's like the Joker logo. Great logo. And I should go with the junior hockey one. Which one? There's a lot of good ones on the table. Give me the London Knights. Give me the London Knights. And that is my draft.
All right, Chat GPT if it's last pick.
We're gonna take the good old former Winnipeg Jets logo.
So the old Jets logo.
The blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good one.
Yes.
All right. I will take the old 90s Mighty Ducks logo, not the one that kind of gone back to. The old 90s one, the green background. I like that one.
All right, I'm gonna go outside the NHL again, which I know is a risk, but I'm gonna take the Calgary Hitmen logo.
It's a great logo.
It's insane. I'm happy with mine.
All right, some honorable mentions. Toronto Maple Leafs.
We snubbed
I don't
again.
know about that.
I do, yeah.
How'd you not pick them?
I don't know. There were some other ones on the table. As far as like junior hockey goes, I like the Sioux Greyhounds. Like the Greyhound logo is super cool.
The Halifax Mooseheads.
Halifax Mooseheads. Who else is a good junior team? Like the Brandon Wheat Kings, the Seattle Thunderbirds. Like they've got some really cool logos. There were some other
Well,
good-
Winterhawks, basically the
Milwaukee
Hawks, but
Admirals is a good logo. That's a cool one.
I felt like if we took that one though, that was a dead giveaway. Just because.
Windsor Spitfires is another good junior hockey logo with the plane with the face on it.
Sudbury Wolves is decent. Yeah.
Sudbury Wolves is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good like European ones too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a lot of the Finnish Liga ones. I know I took Jokerit, who actually played in the KHL for a few years before going back to Liga. Yeah. That was that's like the most historic, iconic one I could think of from over in Europe. So yeah. All right. That was fun, guys. We'll see who wins it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll
Yeah.
throw it back to the show. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Lee, for throwing it back to Lee. Tassos coming in last, me coming in first, just the way I drew it up. Perfect for
First
me.
time?
No, back-to-back wins for me actually.
Oh, wow.
If you've been paying attention, I am on a bit of a heater here, and I will say I'm very happy with the way the rest of those went. So I think you're gonna see Mr. Common L Lee Grossman picking up a couple of dubs here over the next week or two, unless Justin disagrees.
Yeah, Chris Paul has hit a couple of huge threes, cut the lead to 42 here. I think he's still like 10 behind me or something. But yeah, good job. I'm glad to see Tassos finish last, though. If it's not you, then that works out pretty nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I didn't finish last this time. I finished last like twice in a row. So I'm glad I got that streak broken. We're back on track here. But haven't won in a while, though. So I'm definitely missing that feeling. Hopefully we'll get back in victory lane here.
Yeah, we will see. And speaking of Tassos finishing, let's talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs getting it done against the Ottawa Senators in Game 6 on the road. They win 4-2. What's the narrative now, Mr. Justin Lynch?
The narrative has not changed. They've won first rounds before in 6 games. They did in 2023 against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they do in 2025 against the Ottawa Senators. 3-0 lead, and they almost blew it. They were halfway there, but they were able to come up clutch in Game 6. And I think it was smart of them to win on the road at Game 6 and avoid a Game 7, because if they had lost the game last night, the series would have been over, because they have not beaten the Game 7 allegations, yet they have beaten the first round allegations. So good job. Yeah, you beat a wildcard team that you should beat. Yeah, nice job. Second playoff series win in 9 years in the Austin Matthews era. So they doubled their total there. So very impressive indeed from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And now they get to face the defending champion Florida Panthers on round 2. And I can't wait to see them get swept. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Go Leafs, go.
Oh, there he is.
Go Leafs, go.
Oh, now there he is.
Go
He's out of his
Leafs,
cocoon
go.
there.
Tassos, can I ask
He's
you a
out of his
question?
cave.
Tassos, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So a lot of people going to be talking about the core 4 after this one. You know, Matthews scoring that big first goal on the power play,
so-
then Willie Stiles scoring the nice ripper there to come out and start the second,
was
and then he
brutal.
also got the empty netter. But I think last night was more of a legacy game for Craig Berube than it was for the core 4.
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm going with that? Do you disagree?
For a Stanley Cup winning head coach, this is a legacy night in the first round.
I'm saying he should get more of the credit for that win than the players. Like
Stolar's carried.
putting Pacioretty up on that second
that's
line.
the big one, is the Pacioretty, like having him when a lot of people were calling for Nick Robertson to go in and
Yeah.
for them to sit Pacioretty and to stick with your guns and
Yeah.
actually move him up the lineup instead of moving him out of the lineup. Yeah, that was a good call. I don't know if that was a legacy game for a Stanley Cup winning head coach.
Yeah,
Well,
the dinosaur there
well,
filled out the core four.
The reason why I asked it like that is because that was not a legacy game from William Nylander, in my opinion.
No, he was bad. He had
3 points,
he had
but
3
he was
points
ass.
and he was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a better game from Matthews and Marner, I would say, than whatever game 5 was.
Yeah.
You know, my series MVPs are probably a little different than a lot of or maybe not. I don't know, but I thought Chris Tanev,
Unbelievable. Yep.
You know, I don't think people realize how good that guy is, and if Toronto is going to be able to somehow beat Florida, that's going to be a big reason why Dallas beat Colorado in the first. What round was it last year? First, second round?
Second
round. Yeah.
And they beat Colorado last year, and Chris Tanev was a big reason why.
Yeah.
And just shutting down guys like McKinnon and Makar. People don't realize how good this guy is. So, you know, Stolarz was good. I hear there's some people that are, you know, saying that the leash on Anthony Stolarz is maybe one game small, you know what I mean? It's maybe one game in the Florida series. If he doesn't look good in game 1, maybe
That's
go to Joe
crazy.
Wall. Yeah.
What?
I mean, look, I mean, the Perron goal was bad yesterday. That was like a haunting goal.
He pulled a rabbit out of a hat with that one. I don't like.
He was
But you
probably their
can't give
series
that up.
MVP.
You can't give that up. You can't give that goal up.
It's so fluky. He was the best player for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh yeah, there was a
in that
stretch.
game.
There was a stretch in the second period after Brady Tkachuk scored where Ottawa was buzzing a little bit, and Anthony Stolarz was the best player on the ice.
Yeah, he was standing on his head, making big saves after big saves, and it wasn't like it was just like some. It wasn't like it was Mott and Paulo getting open and finding Stützle looked so good yesterday, and he could not beat Stolarz for the life of him. That is the most Leafs shit I've ever heard. That they're like,
And look at Olmark on a sense. He let in a bunch of softies in this series, way more than Stolarz, and that was the difference.
No, I know. I'm just saying there were a couple of Stolarz softies that, you know, maybe. I'm just saying, Joe Wall's a really good goalie too. I don't know that Anthony Stolarz is meant to play 26 hockey games over 2 months, anyways.
okay, I see the point.
I'm putting it down and out there that I'm pretty sure we're going to see Joe Wall in round 2 at some point here. I think that's a pretty
he's
good.
probably gonna get lit up. So about Florida.
I think that's a pretty good bet to make. I don't think I think that was the plan all along a little bit. But you know, the story with the Leafs is the same thing it always has been, right? In this year with all these guys that are RFAs and UFAs and Mitch Marner and all this stuff, you know, can the big guys deliver? You need to go to places you have not been before, which is past the second round. So no, if they get beaten 4 or 5 or even 6 really against the Florida Panthers, or 7, you're probably gonna move on from a guy like Mitch Marner. You're probably gonna still make some changes, Brendan Shanahan, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, look, I think they have a better chance than a lot of people are giving them credit for. Yeah, I like the goaltending. Like I said, Chris Tanev is a dog. Matthew Nyes is a dog. There's other guys. Scott Laughton, you know, people were giving him a really hard time for the big package that the Leafs paid for him at the deadline, and I just thought
That empty net goal was all him.
Yeah, he just ate that puck, and yeah. Really found a role for himself. I know he didn't shoot one in the net, but I think he will at some point here, and yeah, I thought he found a nice role for himself too, and yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my Leafs talk here, but
What's your prediction for the second round?
I'm gonna say Leafs in 6, even though I think it's gonna be Leafs in 7.
Do you actually?
Yeah, I do. Not really truly, you know,
Okay.
I do think that Florida's better, but there are parts of it where, yeah, I don't know. I do think that the Leafs have a much better chance. This is different. They're gonna put up a way better fight than Tampa did. That's not really much of a question for me. It's just more about you know, maybe a couple of things happen here and there, and you never know what happens. Maybe somebody gets banged up. Maybe, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, but you kind of need that to have, be honest. The Leafs aren't
Yeah, the
winning.
Leafs need like somebody on the
Yes.
Panthers to get like injured.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You
Well,
know.
I guess you can predict.
No
like, you know.
Ekblad for game 1, right? You
Yep.
know, like there are ways you can like, you know, you have home ice advantage, which I know doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot, but it means a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know how much it means. It means something to the Leafs. I don't think it means. I think it means less than nothing to these Panthers guys.
Yeah, no, I don't think that really phases them at all. Yeah,
No, I think it's nice that you get to start the series at home in Toronto as opposed to like having to get on a plane, go down to Florida and, you know, play them in their barn. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is going to be good. We'll see.
Yeah. I look. I think I'm going to be picking probably Florida in 6 here. I think the Leafs will be able to pick up a couple of wins if they're opportunistic and their big guys show up. But I literally do not see a world where the Toronto Maple Leafs win 4 games against the Florida Panthers. It would, for that to happen, and I'm not saying it's completely impossible, but for it to happen, it would have to be not only just injuries, like major injuries to the Florida Panthers, it would also take like a couple of really fluky games, like a couple of really big fluky ones early, and then, yeah, like, because even if we're getting to the game 6-7 range with these two teams, like you're telling me you're going to put money on the Leafs to come out with it over these guys who have been there, done it. It's just it's a nightmare matchup any way you draw it up. Yeah, I don't know. They're going to have to lean heavily on their defensemen. They can't turn the puck over. I just feel like that like Domi, Holmberg, McMahon line is going to get absolutely devoured by the Florida Panthers third line. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see this series going super well for the Leafs, but there's going to be storylines. Shit's going to happen. We're going to watch anyway, right, Justin?
Exactly. No, I don't think it'll go super well. I think it'll go super bad, though. I think it'll be a gentleman's sweep there. I think Cats in 5. They'll give them 1. They'll give them a crumb there. The Panthers don't really sweep teams very often. They'll drop 1. You know, I'm sure the Leafs will avoid a sweep, and then they'll get all delusional, and then they'll get served a reality check there. So I look forward to that very much. Yeah, Cats in 5.
Okay. I am really excited for the series because the Maple Leafs do have the offensive weapons to win games in this series. Like it does almost feel like right now that the Florida Panthers are completely unbeatable, but the Leafs have the talent. It's just like, can they show up in
the clutch? No.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the thing for me, but I'd still say that might be the second round series I'm most excited for, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I think there's something to be said for that too. I think also, especially, I just love how that cycle kind of repeats itself there. Now they're gassing themselves up, and I can't wait to see it all crumble. So I look forward to that very much, especially guys like Biz, who reacted like they won the Stanley Cup last night after beating the Ottawa Senators, like fantastic. So yeah, I look forward to the second round. We have to play a real team. Yeah.
Justin, I'm looking forward to giving you a 1-pod sussy during the second round. And having you sit one of these bad boys out if we keep hearing this.
Yeah,
I'm not leaving.
There is a lot of animosity from Justin towards the Leafs. What do you think that stems from, bro?
Dude, we're Blackhawks fans. Do we not want Mitch Marner? Do we not want a better first-round draft pick? Like, we should want the Leafs to lose. Like, what do you mean, why?
Okay, fair enough.
Mitch Marner doesn't want to come to Chicago, dude.
Now you say you're the one who's been okay.
Dude, Tassos doesn't know what to do with. Tassos is in denial. He's numb to it. He's been broken down by this franchise so many times.
I'm in the middle of a playoff race right now.
This is Chicago hockey radio, not Toronto hockey radio.
Yeah,
you gotta pick a team here.
Yeah, I did when I was a child. I'm a Leafs fan.
Well, we will see how that goes for him in this second round against this nightmarish Florida Panthers team.
Any Leaf slander will result in a 1-podcast suspension going forward.
Well, you're gonna have to do the show alone then.
All right. Well, then I guess it'll be me and Raven doing CHR next week.
A nice Good Morning Hockey throwback.
Yeah, right on.
Everybody make sure you tune into that one. Okay, before we hit this, unless there are any other Leaf Sens thoughts that you guys wanted.
I'll say one thing.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm a little bit happy to see the Leafs advance is just to see like that. We don't have to hear from that Sens music video anymore.
Oh my god.
We got all
We got
no more of
Ole.
that. I think when I saw that video, I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I changed my pick. I think he just cursed the Sens. So Yeah, I feel for Brady Chuck too. Like, I also like just his locker room afterwards. Like, he's on the wrong end of some pretty brutal games this year. I think
He
back to
can
the
go
Four
cry.
Nations. And,
He can cry.
oh no,
dude.
he's a good
He's
captain.
such
No,
a cry baby. Go cry.
No.
in the locker room
Tassos
again.
hates,
Oh, come
Tassos
on.
hates Brady Tkachuk because Brady Tkachuk has all the qualities that all the whooshes
That they've been
wusses
missing.
on the Toronto Maple Leafs
Yeah.
don't have.
This sucks.
well, I'm looking forward to Matthew Tkachuk avenging his brother. That'll be nice.
Maybe they can both cry after if the Leafs somehow win. No, Brady's got to quit it with the tears. Like Matthew doesn't cry. Like why are you crying,
Well,
bro?
because
Why are you
Matthew,
crying all
because
the time?
there's no way.
Matthew's been winning everything lately.
I
Like,
guess, but Brady's just crying here, crying there. Like
There's
go
no
on,
way we're
crying.
comparing Matthews and Tkachuk as leaders. I'm taking Tkachuk all day.
No, I know. But
you
like,
realize if the Leafs lost Game 6, we would have been seeing them cry, and maybe not like legit tears, but they would have just been whining and belly aching in the most infuriating way possible.
Look. I'm just we could talk about hypothetical crying all we want, but I'm here to talk about actual tears shed.
God forbid a guy shows
God forbid a
passion
man
and
cries.
show
Like,
emotion.
oh,
yeah.
it's 2025, man.
Yeah.
You guys sound like you're about to cry right
You gotta
now.
get with. Do we?
Yeah, a little
I don't
bit.
know, man. I think I'm doing just fine right now because I know what's ahead for the Leafs. Like,
Yeah, I don't think you do.
I know what's coming. Like, I've watched
Yeah.
this Florida Panthers team closely over the next couple years.
There's
last
no
couple years,
shots.
they're gonna kill the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, but the Panthers, the Panthers are supposed to. The thing about the Ottawa stuff
the
is
Panthers are supposed to.
the thing about the Panthers are a better hockey team than the Leafs. So
then what are we doing here? Even talking about the Leafs? Like,
because the Senators are a big rival for the Leafs. I don't know if you guys really understand that. But the Sens are a big rival
guy.
historically, where the Leafs have owned the Senators in the playoffs. They were previously 4-0 against them in playoff series. They are now 5-0.
Yeah,
That
like
is a
2
big
decades
deal.
ago.
That is a big deal for Leafs fans to maintain that sort of big brother, little brother over Ottawa.
yeah, that's your
You
Stanley
know?
Cup. I understand.
Yeah, hang on to your Sens rivalry there. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
keeping you guys awake
I
at
just,
night.
that was Brady's Stanley Cup, though. We're coming back here and pointing at the ice and, crying like his buddy Josh Norris was traded again. I don't know. Yeah.
Are you gonna? Quick question about the your 5-0 all time against the Sens in the playoffs. Are we gonna see a banner at the library for that one? Is that one going up in the
but
rafters?
that's just like that's
Beat the
one
Senators
that,
in the playoffs, 2025.
That's one that it's like, you know what? No matter what, like no matter all the jokes and all the series losses, still own the Sens. Like still own the Sens no matter what. Like that, that franchise. We own them. We own them no matter the circumstances, no matter the year, no matter the curses. Leafs own the Sens. Always.
Right, you own a franchise that's never won anything and has no cups. Congratulations.
Well,
That's the way it is sometimes.
I'm
Yeah.
happy for you. I'm happy for your Leafs. You guys got your
That's okay. Then Justin, that's like when you say, "Oh, the Hawks beat up on Minnesota before. They used to beat it." Okay, well, it's the same thing.
Yeah, except the Hawks have cups to show for it, but yeah.
and also like if we beat the this is a terrible hypothetical, but like if we beat the Wild and we knew we were gonna win the next round, we wouldn't I don't think we'd be coming on here and doing bits about how we own the Wild. Like I don't like.
Well, no, but
it's loser talk,
they were
you
playing
know?
a lot. I'm saying the Leafs and Sens haven't really played in 20 years, really. So, yeah, that's why. Like this is a rivalry that like has not had juice for a while, but used to have a lot of juice, and it didn't even have a lot of juice this time. Like it didn't really feel very like rivalry-esque or anything like that. But, yeah, I don't know. Leafs on the Sens. Brady Tkachuk is a crybaby. Like
I don't know if it's possible to get like a rivalry vibe from this Leafs core. Like none of them have like.
They're not built for the bright lights.
Well, it's not even that they're not built for the bright lights. Just none of them have any meanness to them. Like they all just seem like approachable guys.
Yeah, it's more that.
So, yeah. All right. I guess that's Leaf Sens talk. We always knew that was going to be a bit of a gong show.
You guys got to hit a break too.
Yeah, and so we are going to hit a break here, and then maybe talk about the Golden Knights and the Wild for a second before our guest gets on, but we will see. Stick around. Going to be a great conversation. Welcome back, Chicago Hockey Radio. Look, not all of the second round matchups are known yet. They're not clear. We still got a couple of, we got a game 6 and then a game 7 on the West. But one matchup that is locked in is the Washington Capitals versus the Carolina Hurricanes. It's going to be a good one. We've kind of been getting ready for it, honestly, before the playoffs even started.
We already knew this was a second round matchup a while ago. Let's be real. Yeah.
And so to talk about it further, we're bringing on somebody who's been watching the Canes more closely than we have. It's Ryan Henkel. He's a writer and reporter for the Hockey News, and he covers the Canes. So Ryan Henkel, welcome to the show. Can we get him in here?
Welcome.
We are getting him in now. You should just give him 1 second.
Yep.
Sounds good. As we're waiting for him to join, I'm excited for this series, Justin. There was some bad blood that kind of started between these two teams during the regular season. I feel like the only couple teams I've actually taken somewhat serious in the Metro Division. Here he is, Ryan. Ryan, how are you doing today, sir?
Welcome.
Good. How are you guys doing?
Excellent.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time here. We know you're a busy man, so we won't take up too much of your time. So now that the first round is over, how did you think your Canes looked based on your expectations coming into the series? Obviously, they get it done in 5. What was your assessment for how that first round went?
It kind of went the way I almost expected. A 5-game series, gentleman sweep was always kind of the expectation, especially with the Devils they were.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose Jack Hughes going into the series. I mean, Dougie Hamilton and Jonas Siegenthaler did return, but it's the question how healthy they were. And then just to lose the defenseman they lost, Luke Hughes, Brendan Dillon, Jonathan Kovacevic. I mean, they lost so many pieces. So it was very expected for the Hurricanes to kind of close that one out in a quick series. I will say the Devils gave them a run for their money. Gave all they did with a banged up team, and a lot of really close games. Jacob Markstrom standing on his head, really exceptional play by him. But I think the Hurricanes looked like I expected them to look in terms of generating chances consistently, being a physical team. I will say, surprisingly, the power play was much, much better than I had thought the Carolina Hurricanes power play could look, especially in a postseason, because that has routinely been an issue for them.
Yeah.
That's a good point, and they're going to need that to click, I think, against the Capitals. Continue to see success there. Something that I'm curious about, and that I think is, like, honestly for me the biggest narrative going into the second round, because I think the Canes are going to. I bet on them to get into the Eastern Conference Finals. I think the Canes should beat the Caps, to be honest with you. But something that does concern me a little bit was that injury to Freddie Anderson that he picked up in Game 4 from Timo Meier, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Have you heard anything about the injury and like the specifics of it? And what do you think the chances are that we see him back for Game 1 for the Canes?
Well, just got back from Canes practice today, actually, and he looks ready to go. He was in the starter's crease today. He was practicing. We talked to him after. He said he feels good. I mean, it seems to be just a quick thing that, whatever it was, we didn't get the technical specifics on the injury, but sat out pretty much 1 game. But at the time, they were just saying day to day. And he practiced on his own, well, not on his own, with the extras yesterday. And today he was full team practice. So he looks ready to go. Brendan Moore and Anderson both talked, saying that they feel ready. So I think we're going to be seeing Frederik Andersen good to go for that first game of their round 2 series whenever the NHL decides they want to let us know when that actually happens.
So how do you feel about that series there? You think you guys got this one? Yeah.
I think it'll be a very good matchup. I think Washington is a deep team, but I think there's been, Montreal gave a little more trouble than I think many people were expecting. So I think there is some potential there for a little more of a quote unquote upset, if you say. It's the 1 and 2 team in the Metro, so as much of an upset as you can call it. But Washington's still a very good team. I think Logan Thompson has been one of the better goaltenders in the league this season. And then you just have guys like Alex Ovechkin and Tom Wilson that can change a series, whether it be their goal scoring or their physicality. I think that hit on Alex Carrier in the Montreal-Washington series was just that completely flipped that Game 4 on its side and kind of put Washington right back in. And Tom Wilson can do that at any time. This is a guy that, for as much much flack as he gets, his physicality can change a series in an instant. I mean, this is that kind of hits like that can change everything.
Absolutely.
And he can score goals too. So it's pick your poison with him. But I think, this is they're both good teams. They're both deep teams. I think they split the season series or relatively close. I think it was like 2-1-1. So Washington probably has like one more point in the edge. But I think these are just two good teams. They both have size, they both have depth, four good lines, six good defensemen, a good goaltender. So I think it'll be one that goes like 6 games, 7 games, and you could really see it going either way. I think the special teams factor, if Carolina stays as good as they were on special teams, because Washington had a bit of a struggle there.
Yeah.
So that could be a big turning point in the series too. But again, I think it's one that's going to go the distance.
Okay. You mentioned the physicality and the size up front with the Caps, and I think that's going to be a big narrative heading into this one. The Canes have this 6'4" Russian stud defenseman that we have not seen thus far in the playoffs. Yeah. That could be maybe an option to counteract some of that size and
I want to
physicality.
see him.
Do you think we see him in the second round, or are they going to stick with their guns? Would it be like a Sean Walker that comes out for him? What are you seeing and thinking there?
So I really don't think we'll see Nikishin as much as exciting as it would be to see him, barring an injury. I know I'm really antsy to see him play because this is his first time being in North America, and like I said, the kid's huge. Yeah. Just a massive human. And from the clips I've seen, his physicality in Russia lays out. He's not afraid to throw the old school hip check, blow up a guy at the blue line, and he can shoot the puck, score. He does it all. I mean, this is a guy that's really, really exciting to see him play. But I think there's so many factors in it. It's the Carolina Hurricanes have a defensive system that's tricky to learn for first timers. I think we've seen throughout the years. I mean, whether it was Dougie Hamilton, Brady Shea, Brent Burns, it took them time to adapt to this system. So it'd be difficult to throw a kid right in the mix, and especially a Russian kid who's never played North America, doesn't speak the language well.
Barrier that's
there's
big throw to the Wolves. Yeah,
there's a lot of trickiness, especially against a team like Washington that's deep and you can't really shelter him. There's no weak line there that you can just kind of put him out there to try to get his feet wet. I think he could be a difference maker if an injury happens. We've talked about Washington's size and physicality. I think there's no way the Hurricanes get out of this 100% healthy, regardless of which way it goes. So there's always the chance we could see him, knock on wood, because I don't want to see anybody get injured. But I think Rod's really good with his group. I mean, this is a team that's tight knit, and it's you don't want to disrupt the chemistry too much. The defense has played almost the entire top 6 has stayed with their combinations for the entire season. There's never been a shakeup where he's like, let me try a different pair here and there. Like, no, this is the 6, and the way they look on paper is the way they've played nearly the entire season, barring injuries. So there's a lot of comfort with the team in terms of they know who they have, they know what they're good at, and they don't want to necessarily throw Nikishin out right. And as exciting as I think it would be, and a potential game changer as it could be, I think it's a safe bet and it's a smart bet.
Yeah.
So the Canes. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it is risky, throwing a guy in for his first game, especially when you've had the same group going for so long. But like, just because the Nikishin situation is so interesting to me. I'm trying to pull up the Puckpedia here for the Canes. What is the defensive situation going to look like next year, do you think?
That's a very interesting one too, because you have, Orlov and Burns are coming off the books. And, they're both guys that I could see getting an extra year thrown at him. Like Brent Burns especially. It's like he's 40 years old, but he still plays 20-plus minutes a night. He's still super in shape. Like, I could see the Canes being like, hey, come back one more year. Low turn, like, just kind of, you're a veteran, the guys like you and all that. And same with Orlov. He's plays really well in the playoffs for much struggles he had in the regular season, I would say. But like, they also have to make room for these guys. Like Nikishin, you need him in your lineup.
Yeah.
You can't bring back both Burns and Orlov. You need Nikishin. He's got to play.
Yeah.
It's just, you have to have that. Scott Morrow's an interesting one. I think he had a really good rookie season in the AHL, but he's had a good stretch of runs. He can produce points. He hasn't really gotten a run on the power play, which is his specialty, but he's still got some shortcomings defensively. His gap control is not the best. The puck pressure, things that the Hurricanes really need their defensemen to do. So I don't know how fast he'll be up in the system. I don't know if he'll get another year in the A and whatnot, but you got those two older guys coming off the books, and I think one could come back potentially, and I think the other one opens up that slot for Nikishin to come right in.
So it sounds like Rod's just got that the biggest defensive juggernaut I feel like this Canes team has just been so solid defensively for years, and it sounds like they've got a future of that being the case as well.
Yeah, 100%. Because big talk coming to this offseason. Granted, I even thought the same. You lose Brady Shea and Brett Pesci, who are two really, really good defensemen. Brett Pesci, especially defensive prowess. We saw in that Devil series how good defensively he still is with eating shots, blocking things. And it's you lose that, and they were the Canes' go-to shutdown pairing. I mean, they ate big minutes for the Hurricanes, and so there's a huge question mark of how are they going to be able to replicate that. But I think Chatfield and Orlov have done a really good job eating up some of those minutes. Burns and Slavin have shifted to that shutdown role more so. And I think there's so much cohesiveness as playing as a 6-man unit rather than having to rely on one pair here or there. I think Walker and Gostisbehere have been sheltered at times. They don't get as much tough minutes, but they produce well. They generate chances. They don't give up much, and they're both quick on their feet. They both can generate off the rush as well. So, you've got 6 guys that just know what they're doing. There's no real weak lapses in their game, and it's just you can rely on any pair to put out in any situation, and that's what gives the Hurricanes so much comfort in that defensive group.
Okay. Bigger picture question. The Canes have been a team that have always been competitive in the playoffs, right? Good for a series win or two. But y'all have always been like one step too short. Do you think this year's different? If so, what is it with this year's team you think that could put them over the top? Yeah.
Yeah, it's always interesting because I think I would argue like last year's team was the best the Hurricanes have looked on paper. Any roster. They had Gensel, they had Tavo, they had Nason, they had so many other pieces, Kuznetsov, so many extra pieces that looked like it was going to be, that was like, wow, I could really see this team winning the cup. And then all of a sudden, their second round exit almost got swept by the Rangers. But now this year's team, you looked at it, it was like, is a bit set down in terms of overall talent, but it's crazy. It seems that whenever the Hurricanes are counted out a little more, whenever they have a little less, their ceilings higher, they always perform better. It's always, this team is like, whenever they're more bigger bodies, they're more grindy, they're more that four line 3-pair unit, like where they're like, we don't have one guy to rely on. We all need to pitch in, pull the rope. It seems like they do better. And it's, like I said, it's hard to bet against them like this because it's like, I mean, I look at them like, yeah, it's not as talented on paper, but they're just going to get it done, which is what they do when they're bet against, which is so strange, but it's also kind of fun to see.
It's such an interesting point. In like, you're not like, it's not like you're just kind of waffling here. Like you're right, because nobody really at the start of this playoffs, it's not like anybody was like taking the Canes to win the cup, but the sports book had them tied for the best odds to win the Stanley Cup this year.
Path.
And nobody's talking about it. And yeah, maybe a lot of it has to do with the path, but maybe that's just like how these guys perform better. Maybe it's like,
just built for the style of play.
It's just crazy. It's I think back to like that first turn they get back in the playoffs after a decade, that 2019 team going from nowhere, all of a sudden going to the East Finals after beating the defending champ Washington and then Islanders, and then 2023 they lost Pacioretty and Svechnikov, and you're like, oh, this is probably not going far, and they get to the East Finals, and they got swept by the Panthers, but every single game was either overtime or a 1-goal game. Like it was so close, razor thin margins. It's just whenever they have these things where it's like, probably not their year. It's just they get further, and it's the craziest thing to watch. It's like it makes no sense, but well, here we are.
Here we are. I'm excited for the Cap series. Something I want to pick your brain about a little bit. We talked about it on the show extensively because honestly, it was probably the biggest piece of news around the NHL this season. What did you make of the entire Mikko Rantanen saga that went on before the playoffs and before the deadline?
Yeah, that was a really interesting month.
That was crazy.
That was a weird one. So you had, like, it even goes back further. So you had Martin Necas to start to the season. It was just that first 2-3 months of the season. He was just ballistic. He was just scoring
one of the best
every
in the
game.
league.
He had a 14-game point streak. He was tied for the league leading points. You're like, wow. You're like, this is the Martin Necas we had always been thinking about. Like, he always shown glimpses, but now he's finally here. And then you get to January, and all of a sudden they're like, yes, okay, we have dealt him, but for Mikko Rantanen. And you're like, okay, you're like, granted he was showing some stuff, but that's Mikko Rantanen. That's a multiple 100-point player. And then Taylor Hall as well, which I'll come back to that one because
he's looked like the bigger addition. Yeah, you're welcome.
Like, this is the big one, but
that was the big piece. Yeah.
So like Mikko comes, and it's such a weird time for the team because they had like an illness in the locker room, like ripped through the locker room, multiple guys out with illnesses. I mean, they were playing a game against the LA Kings, and the first thing Rod Brind'Amour said, he's like, I don't know who's even going to be available tonight. He's like, I don't even know who we could possibly play because everyone's sick. So like they have this whole illness thing coming up, and then the Four Nations breaks happens. So you have this whole thing, and now Mikko Rantanen's pulled away from the team again. He's playing for Team Finland. You know, his just whirlwind of a thing. He got blindside traded, ends up in Carolina. Whole team's sick. He's like switching lines every 2 games, trying to figure out who he could fit with. Then he goes to Four Nations, Finland. Things are happening. It's crazy. And then all of a sudden, it's like the trade deadline is coming up. He's only scored like 2 goals, and they're like, well, all the media is like, well, could they move him again because he's not really fitting in? What's Carolina going to do? And you know, there was a time where I was like, you can't really move him again. Like you did all this, you got Mikko Rantanen, you got to see if it works. But it was that game, that final game before the trade deadline against the Boston Bruins. You could just tell his heart wasn't in it.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell he was, I'm not going to say like he was playing lazy or whatnot, but you could just tell his heart wasn't in it. He was just kind of skating around, extended shifts, just kind of looked lost. And it was it was so noticeable. You were like, this guy really is like, he looks lost out there. And that's not expected from a veteran producer like him. And I think when that happened, like, because, if they were going to trade him, you're not going to play him in that game.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was the time before the game. But I think that was the game they decided, like, we can't put this guy back in the room the way he's, like, playing right now. You can tell his heart's not in it. He doesn't want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a whole thing. So, credit to the team. They managed to find a deal with the Dallas Stars within a day. Got Logan Stankoven, a couple first-round picks.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like I said, and so it ended up happening. You're like, you lose Martin Necas, Mikko Rantanen, who you expect to be, like, 2 top scorers in the league, and you end up in the end with Taylor Hall and Logan Stankoven, who have been great for Carolina. I mean, Taylor Hall just signed that 3-year extension. He's been a tremendous fit, whether it was the first power play unit earlier in the regular season, he's on the second one now. The second line, he just drives play. He's fast. He's physical. He's got size. He plays the Hurricane system to a T, and he's got, great hands, great talent still, even at 33. He looks like he fits. He gives Carolina 2 good lines and the forward position, which is really thing they were kind of struggling with, losing guys like Rantanen and Necas. You need a little more oomph. And then Stankoven comes in, and this guy's just like a little bulldog.
Yeah.
He 5 foot maybe, on a good day. But he plays like he's a big dog.
Yeah,
I mean, he's unafraid. He goes into corners and he shoots pucks.
Yeah.
As soon as he gets that puck in the offensive zone, he's firing that thing. And credit to him, he's been great in the locker room. The guys have really kind of rallied around him. And he's been producing. He's got 2 goals in the first round of that playoffs. Taylor Hall 3 points. He had 3 points. So they were looking pretty good for the Hurricanes. And like I said, it was just such a crazy debacle. We were like, Necas, oh no, Rantanen, oh neither.
Stankoven and some first round
Stankoven
picks.
and Hall. And yeah, and now it's looking great because Stankoven and Hall look like they fit. They're Hall just got extension. Stankoven's obviously going to get an extension, being that he's still on his ELC. And they got 2 first-round picks and 2 third-round picks to play with this offseason. Who knows what they can do?
Yeah, probably. I'd imagine mostly just like assets used for trading. But so how do you think Eric Tulsky handled the situation? Is it true that he made the trade for Rantanen without Rantanen knowing and not knowing if Rantanen would want to re-sign? Is there truth to that? Because I still feel like, even though it's been a couple months now, the situation still seems like shocking to me.
So from what I've heard, it was, they never talked to Rantanen directly, but they talked to his agent. I think Andy Scott is his agent. Okay. I can't remember. And his agent was like, oh yeah, he would definitely be like willing to come to Carolina. Like, this is one of the teams like he'd totally be okay with. And it was 100% a ploy to get Colorado to budge on their contract thing. The agent ended up being the one, like, from what I've heard and what I know, obviously there's multiple sides to everything.
Yeah.
But the agent kind of, Rantanen could have been in Colorado with the same deal he got in Dallas pretty much, because his agent tried to play hardball, and McFarland just didn't do it and said, all right, have fun in Carolina. And so the Hurricanes were under the assumption, because that's what the agent said, that he was fine with it. He'd be like, there'd be a team he would be excited to go to and play for. And so the Hurricanes, that's where they got kind of caught in that crossfire, and agent trying to play games, and it didn't work. I think it's very similar to the Elias Pettersson situation, if you remember from last year.
Yep.
Where like all of a sudden came out there like, yeah, Hurricanes and are in deep talks with Vancouver for potentially Pettersson. It's the same thing where Rutherford was trying to use the Hurricanes to force a deal out of Pettersson. I think it was the same thing the other way.
That's interesting. That kind of changes my perspective, I guess. As far as Eric Tulsky's concerned, because like if he kind of just got, I mean, yeah, maybe you want to see if you can reach out to the player, but if he just, it got finessed for a contract negotiation, it's not really on him. But if I gave you a time machine right now, Ryan, and you could hop in it and go back, and stop the trade from happening, would you? Or are you okay with the way things have played out?
They look better right now.
I think I'm okay with the way things worked out because
Okay.
if you just kind of break it down, it's Martin Necas and Jack Drury for Logan Stankoven, Taylor Hall, 2 firsts and 2 thirds, which I don't know if you would have gotten in the first place. Like I don't think that's a trade that happens. I think that was only a Rantanen kind of could get that much capital out of Dallas. I don't think Necas would have commanded the same thing. And Necas was on a 2-year deal and it was taking him right to free agency. And I'm not 100% convinced he would have re-signed in Carolina. I think he would have gone to free agency. So I think the Hurricanes, in the end, come out better overall. They get a guy under control. They get 4 picks. They get Taylor Hall, who's fit in, and now they've signed to extension. I think it all works out well because it looks just like a Jack Drury and Martin Necas trade for Taylor Hall, Logan Stankoven, and you just kind of Mikko Reno was just some middleman that was just there. Like it's almost like he just didn't exist at all. And I think it's a rallying cry for the Hurricanes, whether they're gonna talk about it or not. That was a guy that didn't want to be in the room, and it's now they've got guys that want to be there. And there's a lot you say about a team being like, hey, we all know we want to be here. We all know we want to be Hurricanes, and that kind of you can bring a group closer together. And at this time of year, that's any little extra motivation I think helps.
So not to jump ahead here, but the Eastern Conference Final has been a tough, spot to kind of a tough hurdle to overcome. Let's say you guys beat the Caps. I think both of us. I think all of us here probably think they will. And let's say I think it'll probably be the Panthers in that third round, not the Leafs. How do you feel about a Cats match up there? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that again, just a really, really tough matchup because the Panthers can just play anything, any way you want to go. The Panthers can do it. I think they're just one of the best teams in the league, hands down. Just in terms of the way Zito's built that roster. I think Maurice coaches just such a aggressive, straight line hockey that they all buy into. I think it's just tough to match up against them in any sort of way. They can grind you out. They can score on you. Barkov, Kachuk, Bennett. I mean, Ekblad, Forsling, Bobrovsky playing great hockey again. I mean, it's tough, but I think the playoffs anything can really happen. We've seen crazy things happen in the playoffs. I wouldn't say there's an edge and say one way or the other. I think the Panthers have the experience and the confidence, so maybe that gives them an edge overall. But I think the Carolina Hurricanes give them just as good of a run for the money as in 2023. Granted, again, it was a 4-game sweep, but it was as close as you can get with a sweep. So I think it's a similar kind of story. I think whichever team has guys going, like if Andrei Svechnikov can stay hot, if he can stay being a difference maker, like that can be huge for the Hurricanes because they didn't have that in 2023. If they had a healthy Svechnikov, that could have been a different story. But at the end of the day, they're 0-12 or whatever in conference finals in their last 3 appearances. So that's if you want to, it's a weight over them, but it's also there's a bit of disconnect between those teams. I think 2023 you can really go back to have this current core feel it because that 2019 team there's a few pieces here and here.
It's a different group.
As a group, and then you'd have to go all the way back to 2009 to their last time they got swept in a conference final from the Penguins after getting Malkin, absolute monster that series, if you remember all the way back yonder day. But I don't think there's as much weight on the team thinking about that, but it's always going to be something that gets thrown at them regardless, no matter what happens. So, but again, I think it'll be a good matchup. I think obviously the Panthers would have the edge, just being the experienced team, the deeper team. But again, it's hockey, and you got to play it on the ice to see what happens.
I want to get your thoughts on some other playoff stuff, maybe a little bit in the West. But before I do, we are, we're Chicago Hockey Radio. We cover the Blackhawks. Taylor Hall, Blackhawks legend, as Justin and I like to call him, just signs an extension with the Carolina Hurricanes. What is it? 3 years, like 3.1 or something?
3.167, 9.5 million total.
Thoughts on that contract? I mean, I'm happy for him. I liked him a lot here in Chicago. I think he's a great guy. He plays hard. It sucks to see guys get injured and stuff like that and all the stuff he's battled through. How do you feel about that contract in Taylor Hall?
Yeah, I was actually pretty much exactly kind of where I was thinking he would fall. I was thinking like 2 years, 3.5, or 3 years, 3 million. So it's about right where I thought they would extend him at. I think he's been great for the team. I think he's fit well. He plays a style. He's really good generating chances. He's still got a quick step to him, even coming off that ACL tear. from 2 years ago that, it's hard for players to come back and play off that,
Yeah.
but especially at his age, but he's got his quickness to him. He's got his quick step. He's
Mhm.
got, his size. I think he's done well. And he's really, mature. I know throughout his career, especially younger in Edmonton, all that, he had kind of a reputation for being a little immature and a bunch of stuff. But every time I've talked to him, he's been really mature, really thought through answers. He really very good to talk to in the room.
Mhm.
And a lot of guys like him talk about kind of just his maturity that he shows and just being a leader and whatnot and leading by example and all that sort of stuff. So I think a perfect fit for the team because he kind of right in that age group of like, their young core guys are, 28 to 23, but then you get a little bit of the veterans. So he fits right in that kind of middle role, the Jordan Marnock age, the Frederick Anderson age that,
Yep.
you have this good kind of group of young talent and still veteran contributors. And I think he perfectly fits what the team's looking for. I really like the no trade protection that the Hurricanes managed to slip in there because it's like the last 2 years will be a no trade clause, but if he gets less than 35 points in a season, it moves to a 10-team no trade list. So they even have room to move him
Mhm.
should like things not work out with his age or whatnot. So I think it's a great contract both sides. Taylor Hall gets to stop moving around finally. Gets to get a home for a little bit longer, especially with his family. He said his wife's expecting the baby in fall.
Okay.
In the fall. So, a lot of good things for Taylor. Happy for him. Good to see him here. I think he's been fit well.
Take good care.
Yeah,
of him.
no, we're both happy for him too, because like you said, he's been moving all over the place. So it'll be nice to see him have a extended home for a few years here. Yeah, for sure.
Term was obviously the thing he was looking to most. I mean, we got that vibe here in Chicago, was that like he wanted to stay in Chicago, even though we're kind of where we're at in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like he still was willing to stick it out and like see this rebuild through, which guy like me, I'm always going to appreciate that. So yeah, take good care of our Taylor Hall. Okay, we talked about the East a bit. Before we let you go, let's do a little Western Conference talk. Not all the series are over. Let's start with Dallas, Colorado. It's going back to Dallas for a Game 7. What did you originally predict from the series, and what do you think is going to happen in Game 7?
I originally had Colorado in 6, I believe, was my original kind of thought process because I was like, especially when they lost, I was going to give the edge to Dallas until they lost Robertson. Like the last game of the season, I was like, what even happened? You lose Heiskanen right at the Four Nations break, and then you lose Robertson. I'm like, I didn't see how Dallas could potentially overcome that.
Me neither.
And, credit to them because I think that first game, like, Colorado really took it to them.
Yep.
And then Dallas kind of rallied from there, and they just have been finding ways to get it done. Ottinger's been playing well. They've just had depth scoring. Like Granlund's been great. Rantanen was quiet for a while, but
Now
last night he almost willed them to victory with that 4-point performance. Like the Dallas team has been, again, that's just another team that's just gritty and just finds ways to get it done. But I think Colorado just has so much talent. There's just like Nathan McKinnon. Like, I think he's art. Like, I think he's probably the best player in the league just because of the way he's just
over McDavid. Yeah,
I think McDavid is like more pure offensive talent, but just the way McKinnon could just straight line, just punch it down your throat whenever he wants. I think there's an effect to that, and there's his size and physicality. I think can really when I watch McKinnon play, I'm like, goodness gracious, this guy's a monster. Yeah. And then you get Landeskog back all of a sudden, and he's got 4 points in 4 games. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't play for 3 years, and now all of a sudden
he looks like Brian Landeskog.
You're playing like Gabriel Landeskog. What's even happening here? So it was a weird one for a while too. Colorado had that kind of rut where Dallas was just winning games when they shouldn't, but it's like they also replaced almost their entire damn team in like in the middle of the
different
season.
Team. Yeah, like 11. I think it's 11 different guys from the opening night roster.
That's unreal.
I was crazy because I was like, so I can see it. I was like, there's so much talent here, but it's also a bunch of guys that never really played together before, and it's a lot of fresh faces like Charlie Coyle, Martin Necas, Brock Nelson. I mean, they replaced almost the entire middle six, and it's like, it's great if we're playing Chell, but like, these are real guys that got to build chemistry. Yeah. It's a real thing. Yeah. So it's a great series. Like, I love the gong show of a game. We finally have a Game 7.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have another one tonight. We'll see. But finally, we've been waiting for this.
So if you had to choose, pick a winner in Game 7, are you sticking with Colorado? Because I had Colorado in like 5 or 6. I think I had them in 6.
Colorado at 7, so I think I still have a life there. Yeah.
I think I would stick with Colorado. I think there's a lot to be said when you can win game 6 to force that game 7, momentum's on your side and you're kind of feeling it.
Yeah.
While the other team's kind of like,
And now the pressure's on
he's
Dallas a
feeling
little
it.
bit.
Yep, at home.
pressure's on
Yep.
Dallas.
Good point.
And so we'll see. Like everyone's producing there, and like maybe Heiskanen comes back. He's been upgraded day to day. Same with Robertson. Like maybe they're just thrown in there, like the Undertaker, just kind of appearing in the middle of the ice. But
Yeah, I think
I'm
Heiskanen
just gonna-
coming back, it's like, or what? Is Heiskanen going to come back for game 7 and play 25 minutes and shut down Nathan McKinnon?
I don't know. That's it. Could
might.
We didn't think
Depends
Landeskog
what
was going to be
He's
effective
throwing.
after missing 3 years.
That's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
you never know.
I've seen crazier things. I mean, Colorado won that game because the guy shot it off his own team's shoulder and he bounced into the net. This is a crazy series. This
Oh my
is all
gosh.
wild.
We were live streaming that one last night, and I was crying laughing after that Colin Blackwell own goal off of his own shoulder. That was absurd. Sorry, Justin, not to cut you off. Ask your question.
Oh yeah, I think you alluded to it there. How about the last series, Blues Jets? You think there's going to be a game 7 there? Yeah.
If Hellebuck plays like he does on the road, then yes.
Yes. Yeah. We seem to
Because that
think
is-
that too.
That is Jekyll and Hyde between regular season Hellebuck and playoff Hellebuck, and now
Yep.
home ice Hellebuck and road ice Hellebuck.
Yeah.
Because
It's been.
I don't know.
different.
I don't know what to expect from him. Like at this point, I'm like, yeah, he's gonna let in 8 goals in St. Louis just because that's what his track record tells me. And so I'm like, yeah, game 7 because I just don't have any confidence in him. Like the best regular season goaltender of all time, maybe, but in the playoffs, he just
It's a
does not get
different-
it done.
Is it like the yips? Like, what is it? Also, no Shifley here for Game 6.
They're
which
getting
is-
Ehlers
which is a
back,
big
though.
deal. But this Hellebuck thing is fascinating. And before you came on, we talked about the Game 5 there, and Hellebuck did make like an insane save, like maybe the best save of the playoffs. But he also let in one of the softest goals on that Snuggeroo
3 goals
shot.
and 19 shots.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on with him? Is it literally just a mental thing? Like I know goaltending's a mental position, but what do you think's going on?
I couldn't even tell you. Maybe something about winning Vezina trophies because Linus Olmark has like the same thing.
Yeah.
As soon as he gets in the postseason, he falls apart too. So maybe you win that Vezina trophy and things just aren't as peachy perfect anymore for you.
Dude, I don't know. I've never seen like it's honestly shocking, like how good he was all regular season. And people, I think like the knee jerk reaction a lot of people have given is like, he gets outworked during the regular season. Like he plays too many
Plays too
games.
many
He's
games,
playing
yeah.
60,
Yeah.
but it's like, well, he's finishing the year strong. He looks like a different guy. Like I'm not putting that all.
He's not just
on
going to
him
suddenly
being
fall off a cliff.
tired.
Like,
Yeah.
no.
It's not. You kind of
Yeah.
see it. You kind of see it kind of trickle down. You don't go.
No,
Yeah,
no,
no, yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one's a
it-
weird one.
it's a weird one. It's interesting. We'll see if Winnipeg can close it tonight. I don't think it's going to happen. I think St. Louis is probably going to run through them tonight, and then Game 7 is going to be up in the air. Hopefully, Scheifele's back for Game 7. But we need a couple of Game 7s as hockey fans.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
we deserve it. Like, come on.
Need something on the weekend, yeah.
No sweeps at least. There's no sweeps at
That's
least.
true.
But come
Yep.
on now. I need a little 7s. Come on now.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time and doing this with us. We really appreciate it, and we would love to get you back on the show at some point to talk Canes again.
Yeah, no
thank
worries.
you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Take
Yeah.
care, Ryan. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You guys as well.
All right, and that was Ryan Henkel. Great conversation. I really am excited. I know, Justin, you and I have kind of, we shit on that Devils Kane series a little bit just because we thought the Devils weren't going to be able to make it competitive, and
They did.
a little bit, yeah. But Canes closed it out in 5. I'm excited for the second round matchup between those two teams, though. Like I am. I think it's as Ryan said. Like I think it's going to go probably 6 or 7 too. But I think the Canes will close it out.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We go from a Kane series that we had zero investment in. Now it's like this one's very intriguing. Like I look at this series, I did say in the interview, yeah, it's probably the Canes to lose, but like
Yep.
I don't know, like it's pretty even. Like it could really go either way. If I'm gonna be honest here. I do have the Caps in my bracket, but after watching these playoffs so far, I think I would change if I could. But unfortunately, I can't. That's not how it works. I guess I'm suffering from chat syndrome of recency bias and shifting my takes. But yeah, like that's. I think this series should be fascinating. I think it could go either way. It'll be fun to watch. Yeah.
I love the little chat nugget there. They're not going to like that as much.
They do that all the time, man.
I know they do, and they love to
For every game.
These guys grill me so hard during these live streams, man. Like chat is just belting.
They don't have to talk in front of a mic, right? They can hide behind their screens and type away, and nobody's gonna remember their takes, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. So I've got to give it back. We got to give it back to chat every once in a while because
yes, we do.
Because they like to. I mean, it's like they're going for high hits on us. They're throwing elbows out there. They're slew footing
Sucker
us.
punches, right? Yeah, no.
We gotta show a little bite back. I think
Exactly. Yeah.
No, we love you, chat.
No, we do. Yeah, we're just messing with it.
Okay, let's go back to the Thursday slate. We haven't talked about the Vegas Wild series. Ends up ending in 6 there. Heartbreaking for the Minnesota Wild. Marc-Andre Fleury is
Blackhawks legend.
Blackhawks legend, going to be retiring. 3-2 game, another razor close game.
Yeah.
We were right. The series was good. I thought it was going to go 7. It didn't. What did you make of Game 6?
Yeah, I said it was going to go 7, but I think my bracket had 6. So we were still right in the long run. Like, this game was the epitome of what the series was like. It was super close, razor thin. The Vegas just had a slight edge, right, when it mattered, right, in the clutch, right? They showed out. And that was the difference in this Game 6 here, right? Hartman made it interesting for the Wild. A couple of goals there. Blackhawks legends these playoffs, man. What has been the deal? I feel like every single one has had clutch moments, but it was a little too late, unfortunately, for Minnesota. I thought they would force a Game 7, but just wasn't quite there. And yeah, Marc-Andre Fleury's career is finally over. That's kind of crazy after all these years. And I'll never forget that fever dream season back in 21-22 with the Blackhawks, man. It feels like that wasn't even real. I'm still not convinced it actually happened, that he was a Blackhawk. The amount of hope I had going into that season, and obviously it didn't go the way we wanted. But no, for Minnesota, it's tough though, because like I think in the short term, I think they probably exceeded most people's expectations. Most people said it'd be 4 or 5 games, and it was 6. I think it was very close, but this is an 8th first round exit in like the last 10 years. I saw a stat where like no team in like Major League Sports has had that many first round exits in a 10-year span. Not even the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's kind of crazy. They got to be able to change that narrative there. And there is somebody's contract who's up next summer, so they probably invest in and change that narrative pretty soon there if they want to keep them and have a future here. But no, they have a good prospect pool too. A lot to look forward to on the way there as well. So the future does look bright for that club. But eventually, you got to be looking over the first round hurdle here. Yeah.
Look, a lot of people were picking the Knights to win this thing early. They showed that they're not human, right? I think that's what I took away from this series, is that it's not like I don't look at the Golden Knights the way I look at the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche and the Florida Panthers.
Everybody else seems to do.
I know. Everyone else kind of lumps them in with those 3.
No, there's a gap.
And look, don't get me wrong. Jack Eichel started to come alive as the series went on, and they need that guy. I mean, they need that guy absolutely hard.
Well, he's had a career season, man.
The season he had was absolutely fantastic. Started off the postseason a little slow, but I think he's starting to put together these games, getting multi-point efforts, another goal and an assist from him last night. They're gonna them versus the Oilers, man. I mean, they're gonna need him to be firing. What do you?
I view this
talking about it. Do we start talking about them versus the Oilers?
I view this series the same way as the Canes Cap series, where in my bracket I have Vegas winning. But honestly, if I could change it now, I think I'll pick the Oilers. I know. I just think the way they ended that series, 4 straight wins, like suddenly out of nowhere, they kind of look like the last year Oilers. And this Vegas team, it's like, I don't know, dude. Like, they're good. Don't get me wrong, they're good. They have depth, but I don't know if this is the 2023 Golden Knights. Like, I don't know if this is a cup team. Like, I think Oilers can take them. I think it's going to be 6. It's 6-7 games. That I can guarantee. This is not going to be. This is going to be a close series. It's going to stretch out. It's not going to be a short one. 6-7 games. But honestly, I think I get the edge to Edmonton. Yeah.
I agree with the sentiment that like this is not the best Vegas Golden Knights team we've seen.
No.
Like I would almost argue that the team last year looked better than this one, to be honest with you. But
yeah, they had a tough first round matchup there.
They had the Dallas Stars in the first round, and I think I want to say they started that series up 2-0.
They did.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think Dallas came back. Yeah,
but yeah, I just don't think that they're like an unbeatable team. But with that being said, the Oilers are so unreliable. But the difference in the past 4 games for the Oilers is that now we started to see the depth scoring, and I think that was like the biggest takeaway from those final 4 games with the Oilers is those depth pieces. The Vander Kanes, I mean, geez, you can go down
the
the list. Hunter
Hymans,
Brown,
even Nugent
Hyman,
Hopkins,
and then and Trent
Perry's.
Frederic, who you brought
Yeah.
in too, like
Yeah.
scoring a big goal as well. So
Mhm.
we started to see that. I still don't trust their defense. Calvin Pickard's been good enough.
Yeah, they
but-
haven't lost since they've gone away from Stuart Skinner. But he's Calvin Pickard. Are you going to win a cup with
yeah.
Calvin Pickard?
Yeah, you're not-
probably not.
I'm
no.
sorry. There is not a single chance in hell the Oilers are going to ride Calvin Pickard to the Stanley Cup
They're going to have to
final.
go back to Stuart Skinner at some point. How's that going to go? Based on how he's looked this year, probably not well. So.
It's not reliable. It's just not
Yeah.
reliable. So it's like one of those things where it's like I
But-
could totally see Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid.
As long
doing
as you have
it.
those two, I can't fully bet against them, man.
Yeah.
I just can't. Like it's good enough, man. It's good enough. Those two are just on another planet. And if those two are on top of their games, then it'll work itself out, man. Like they can make anything happen at any point. The Oilers are really never out of it. They're never truly like, how do I put this? On the flip side of that, the game could always get away from them too.
Yeah.
But they're never out of a game.
Yeah.
They're in every game.
Dude,
Yeah.
even that game
Yeah.
last night, like, yeah, they won. They scored a ton of goals, but I mean, they
wasn't
conceded
convincing.
3. It wasn't
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it was back and forth. And
It's just kind of the way they play, though. After a while, it's like when you do it enough, it's like I think that's just kind of the way they are. Some teams are different, right? This is like some teams are meant to play sustained style. The Oilers just aren't really that way. It's a little chaotic at times, right? Yeah.
yeah, and like I mean, they were playing a Kings team that died.
The opposite. Yeah. And I mean, I think, yeah, I guess we get that one later a little bit, but yeah, where the hell do they go from here? It's like, you got to think Jim Hiller's done, man. Probably one of the worst game 2 decisions. Like that kind of lost them the series. Like they could have gone to overtime and had a 3-0 lead, and then it just completely gets away from them after that. So 4 straight years.
And,
Yeah, they're cooked.
Yeah, and to blow the lead too in game 4. I mean, it's like the way you started the series up 2-0, it was looking so good. The Oilers looked shambolic defensively, and to just not have the closing ability on the road, it was just dreadful. Yeah, I think Jim Hiller's going to be gone. Our boy Dennis Bernstein, friend of the show, hit him with another good one last night. He asked him about, if he could go back and change the way he did not play the depth guys and the young guys at all, if he could go back and change anything. And he said, Jim Hiller said no. So,
Okay.
I think a firing there is imminent in my mind, but I guess we'll see. But to go back to this Vegas Oilers series, man, I think I'm going to predict, which, I mean, take this with a grain of salt because I've just been getting the Oilers wrong all playoffs. I think I'm going to take the Golden Knights in 7. Just because I think there's just
They're better than the Kings.
They're better than the Kings. They are better than the Oilers too. It's just and for me, what it comes down to is I can rely on them a little bit more, even though they're not I don't think they're the best team. I don't think they're the Stanley Cup wagon that everybody thinks they are.
They've done it before.
They've done it before.
Experience.
I can count on them a little bit more than I can this Oilers team, and so that's what it comes down to for me.
That's fair. Yeah.
But you're going to take the Oilers in 7, aren't you?
Yeah, which is not what I have in my bracket. I have it the other way around in Vegas, but I'm going to switch up again. I've been switch up on this Oilers team a few times. Well, actually, no, I did have the Oilers winning in my bracket against the Kings. So that one I did have. This one I feel much less confident for pretty much all the reasons you just stated. But I just think the way that series shifted there, just to look back at last year, you know me, I'm a history merchant, right? I just don't see this being a second round type of exit. I don't think they're going to win the cup this year, but no, I think they're due for another long run here, and I think they could take this Vegas team. They don't really phase me the way that they do a lot of other teams. They look beatable to me, and I think if this Oilers team is on point the way they did look at the end of the series, they weren't just winning these games. Then the series kind of the first couple games were definitely lucky a little bit for sure, no doubt about that. But they started to dominate the Kings towards the end. Maybe not last night, but that game 5 especially, that was a shifting point, a turning point for me at this Oilers team. So I think I would take them in 7. Yeah.
That's fair, and I'm not gonna disagree. We both have it going 7. I think we both are on the same page. Could go either way. We'll see what version of the Oilers we get in this series. We'll see how the goaltending performs down the stretch as well as the blue line. It's gonna be an exciting series regardless. I'm sure it'll be plenty of drama. We get the Eichel McDavid matchup. I mean, there's so much to look forward to with this series, I think.
Oh yeah, no, definitely be must-watch hockey, and two teams coming off of a 6-game series that probably felt like they should have been 7 away at many points, right?
Yeah.
So could have gone either way. So that's another thing in Vegas too. I think maybe you could make the same point to the Kings, but I do think the Kings are probably a stronger team than the Wild. I know the Wild, like, it is basically a one-line team. Kaprizov, Boldy, they have some depth guys in the offense and good D. They got decent goaltending, but like, I mean, Vegas, I mean, they took that to 6 games and like nobody did, right? And you look at the Kings series as the opposite. Most people had the Kings wing and not the Oilers. So I look at that perspective too, kind of shifting of the narratives there. I just feel like
yeah,
more,
but you got to be
yeah,
careful with
yeah.
that, because that Kings team we saw at the end was, I mean,
They choked.
That
Yeah.
was terrible. It was horrible coaching. I mean, he was just playing the shit out of, you know, the first 2 lines in Doughty, and it was just like poor decision after poor decision. The Kings, you were right. They were fucking, the Oilers own them. Just
I told you it was in their head.
and I just didn't think it would play that big of a factor, and it did. And that's kind of the thing about the Game 5 Kings loss that was my lowest moment of the playoffs. Obviously, everyone hounding me for I'll take responsibility for comments
Who
I made
was
prior.
right? Justin was right.
Yeah,
Who was
yeah,
wrong?
yeah.
Lee. Friendly reminder.
Yeah, friendly reminder. I'll wear that one. You gotta man up and own your mistakes. But it's not like it was just coaching. Like that Kings team looked defeated in Game 5. They looked better in Game 6 on the road because that was actually desperation. It was do or die. But that performance from the Kings in Game 5 left such a sour taste in my mouth, because it was just everything. Literally everything was bad. And so, besides Darcy Kemper. But
Lee, I have a crazy stat for you.
Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
Guess which team has won a playoff series more recently than the LA Kings? I couldn't trust them. Yeah.
Look, it's they failed to slay the dragon yet again. What is it? 4th year in a row.
4 straight years.
That's crazy.
It was a series sweep within a series, right? 4 straight wins for Oilers as well in the series. So that's wild. Yeah.
Big changes have to come with the Kings, which we were saying the same thing last year, and they did make big changes this year. Like, we didn't see that 1-3-1 just defensive garbage. It didn't matter. They failed to do it again. So I think if the Kings organization is serious, I think they need to make some big changes, to be honest with you, because I mean, you can't lose. You've lost to the same team 4 years in a row in the first round.
I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed, Connor McDavid. I feel like you had an opportunity there in the post-game press conference there to echo the statements of Matthew Tkachuk. This is not a rivalry. We always kicked our ass. So that's the Oilers Kings. This is not a rivalry. They faced each other in 4 straight playoff series, and what is it? 7 games, 6 games, 5 games, and now 6 again. Yeah, it's the same deal. It never changes.
Yeah. And he said we need to give Vegas a good series, because we don't forget what happened a couple years ago. So that gets me hyped. I'm sure we're gonna see, you know, God level stuff from McJesus and Draisaitl in this one, as we did in the first round. And now it's just like these guys on the Oilers, I know they haven't won a cup, but it's like, it's so different from the guys, say, in Toronto, where it's like, these guys are performing every single game.
They've gotten much closer. Yeah, they've shown up in the clutch.
And they show up, you know, they do everything they can. Like, they're never losing, and it's like, oh, that was on.
And they have that mentality. Right, you look at them compared to Matthews Marner, complete difference in mentality. They're not just like that whole core 4, right? They have that winning mentality. They've gotten as close as you can get without winning. So it does feel like it's a little inevitable with this Edmonton team at some point. I'm not saying it's going to be this year. I don't think it's going to be this year, but it does feel inevitable that McDavid will win a cup at some point. They'll carry them to it. With the Leafs, it feels like no. I don't think the core 4 is going to win shit, but we'll see. No.
I would love an Avs Oilers conference final.
Yes, that's what I want.
I think the league would just salivate over the
David
idea
McKinnon.
of that happening.
That's what they want. Absolutely.
That would be cinema. We kind of talked about it. Let's I guess should we shift and do a little maybe some predictions, I guess, for Game 7 for Avs Stars?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, it was a much needed, just a quick thesis statement from the Game 6.
Yeah,
much needed win for the Avs, right? 7-4 at home. I think we both predicted it. They weren't gonna, go out like that. It was a game they needed to win. They took it. So good to see from them. They forced a Game 7 in Dallas, and we all said this series was bound for 7 games. Like, this was the closest series going into it. Everybody was saying it. So that was something we were alone in. We were all in agreement there, right? This would be the best round 1 series, and it may be the only Game 7 series. We'll see what happens with the Blues Jets. But predictions. I mean, I have the Avs in 7, so I'm going to stick to my guns there. I'm going to stick with Colorado, right? I mean, I have a little bit of nervousness with that prediction. I'm going to be honest with you. Just back away there in Dallas, and they've had a hard time there since they haven't won a game since game 1 at Dallas, and I think just the way that game 5 looked, they don't want to repeat that, but they do take the dub at game 6. Momentum appears to be back on their side. So I think that I will take the benefit there and say they edge the Stars in 7.
Yeah. I think it's going to be razor close too, because it was like,
Yeah.
you got the win. It was a couple empty netters at the end. I mean, this game was back and forth all night long. It was Avs would score, then Dallas would tie it up. Avs would score, immediately Dallas ties it up. Avs would score, here comes Dallas, and then Dallas got that lead, and then the Avs came back. I mean, it was so back and forth. It wasn't as dominant as I was maybe hoping it would be. Just
it was a close game,
sake.
right?
It was very close, and now I feel like this game 7 is so up in the air. I am going to stick with my guns. I'm still going to stick with Colorado.
Yeah.
And score prediction, I mean, I don't know.
I will say, though, I think this one is bound for a game 7 overtime. And I will say, though, I'm a little nervous about that because the Avs have not fared well against the Stars in game 7 overtimes. And you know what? I will reference another guy who there was somebody in the chat in the live stream yesterday brought this up. Yeah, I was slandering Mikko Rantanen like early on this week. Like he's done nothing in the playoffs, right? I think he had 1 assist in 4 games. And since then, he has like 6 points in 2 games or something. He had like a goal and like personal. 2-3 assists, like 4 points last night. He's looked like Mikko Rantanen. And you know what? Who won that game 7 overtime last year for the Stars? It was Matt Duchene, a former Avalanche. I will say, if this does go to overtime in game 7 at Dallas, I could totally see a Mikko Rantanen game 7 OT winner. I'm not saying that's going to happen.
There.
But the script is totally there. I mean, not to say that it's scripted, but there's been a lot of dialogue on Mikko Rantanen. Is there a player is there a non-Blackhawks player we've talked about more the second half of the season than Mikko Rantanen? I don't know if there has been.
Yeah.
Just with all the dialogue around him, like for him to slay his former team there after all the drama. The NHL's been a drama league this year, man. There's been a lot around that. So it would not shock me the slightest if that were to occur. I think if you were putting bets on Rantanen doing something in game 7, that would be a smart bet. He's proven me wrong. And that being said, that's the the devil's shoulder. The angel on my other side says no. The Avs find a way to beat Dallas this year. This team is too damn good. They are my cup picks. I got to stick to my guns, and I do think they'll find a way. Yeah.
I'll say 3-2 Avs, a late with no overtime, a late winner from my Conn Smythe winner, the Nate Dog.
I like that. I'll say, I mean, not too much different, but I'll say 4-3 Avs. And I guess I'll say I'll avoid overtime because I do think if it goes to overtime, they'll lose. So I'll say it avoids overtime. And that's all I'll say. Okay. I guess, game winning goal, who knows? Yeah. And if it's not overtime, I don't really, think about it. Yeah.
Last thing I'll say is I think whoever wins game 7 of this series, in my mind,
is
going to the Stanley Cup final.
The same deal as the Battle of Florida. Yeah, I think that's the script, right? Those are the 2 closest series. Well, that one wasn't really that close, but this one has been, and it feels like these 2 teams are destined to face off against each other, whether it's Stars or the Avs against Florida. It looks like it's gonna be one of those 2 in the
because honestly, like this is gonna be disrespectful as hell, but it's like you almost get a bye in the second round, regardless of who.
Yeah, those
play.
Blues Jets. No, that's not going to be a series. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe they take one. That could even be a sweep, honestly, because if you look at the way those 2 series been played, just completely different. I mean, that Blues Jets series has been so chaotic, and like it hasn't even really felt like playoff hockey at times. It's been, which this has. So these are 2 teams that have gone far, that have been there, done that. I mean, the Stars haven't come out on top. The Avs have, but the Stars have been super close. Probably the closest team that hasn't quite gone all the way. Maybe the Oilers have to say about that. So yeah, I think they're gonna have a hard time.
Yeah, and before we get out, I just want to echo a statement you made earlier in the show that I completely think is right. I think that if the Blues win this series against the Jets, I think they are more likely to put up a fight against Dallas or Colorado than the Jets. Yeah. I just have no faith whatsoever in the Jets to beat either Dallas or Colorado.
And honestly, I don't even think it'd be even close. I know they won the President's Trophy. Regular season was great. I don't give a shit, man. I think the way they look against this Blues team, it would shock me if they got swept by Dallas or Colorado. Maybe they take one. They'll take one. Maybe not a sweep. That's probably being a generalization.
They'll get one at home.
They'll get one. A gentleman's sweep, right? You give them that. Blues could probably take a game or two. They're not going to win, but I could see them wearing them a little bit. Their physicality, right? They're so
At
good at
home,
home.
too.
They've been insane at home, man. Like they've
Yeah.
hardly lost a game at home since the Four Nations, going dating back to the regular season. Like so, I could totally see them. Like they're a different team at home, so they can make it a series. It'd be interesting, but they're not going to come out on top in 4 games. Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I think.
I guess Blues Jets. Have we?
Yeah, I mean, we
just a
we kind of talked about it with Ryan, and we did give our score predictions, and we both both thought that the Blues pump them tonight.
Yeah. But who's going to take? If assuming that tonight is not the last game of the series, who's going to take the Sunday Game 7?
If Scheifele's back and healthy, I'll go with the Jets and just say the home teams win every single game this series.
Yeah.
If there's no Scheifele, I think St. Louis is going to win like easily.
Well, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I saw on the break that Ehlers is actually confirmed to return tonight. So
oh, that's big.
I will say, I think for tonight, it's not going to make a difference. I think
No.
the Blues will still take the dub. But for Game 7, back home at Winnipeg, getting that extra bit of help, and we still have some time between them. There could still be some more returnees. I will say that'll make a difference for He's been back, right? So I think the Jets will take this in 7. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you there. I hate to agree with you on everything, but
We've been agreeing then today. But
know.
if you listen to the show all week, we haven't been. So
Yeah.
today's reconciliation at the end of the week.
Yeah, we got to come together at some point. And look, Justin, we call balls and strikes on here. We're not coming on here just waffling, saying a bunch of nonsense. We're just calling it the way we see it. And I think I love Blues money line tonight at like -120. That would be probably my just normal square regular human bet of the night. But we'll see. I tend to be wrong on these individual games somehow. So we'll see. I like Jets in 7. So does Justin. Thank you guys so much for listening today. I hope.
Sorry, there's actually one little thing, a couple little tidbits I want to get to.
I wonder
really
what
quick
you got
before
for
we
me
end.
today.
Well, I do think this is important to mention. Here we are at Hawks Show. I think we should cover stuff that, as these playoffs go on. Connor Bedard will not be playing in the World Championships for Team Canada, which initially I was disappointed to see that, but then I thought about it more. It's like, you know what? That's very telling to me. It tells me that he's taking this offseason extremely seriously.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, this extra bit of hockey isn't going to do anything for me. I think he's got a whole new game plan this offseason to work on. I think he's going to be ready and motivated next year. And he's played the World Championships before. He did it last year in Canada, so it's not like he hasn't been there, done that, right? And also as a U.S. fan, it means, I don't have to watch any Canadian games. I could just watch Frank Nazar in the U.S.
True.
So I think Betsy really just wanted to see the U.S. come out on top there. Thank you, Connor.
Thanks, Connor.
Appreciate that. But yeah, that's it. And then Mike Sullivan to New York. So that was probably our second option off the table. So the Blackhawks coaching search will continue. We'll see if we have some news about that anytime soon. Hopefully Davidson will awaken from his slumber there, and we'll have a good coaching hire to announce in the shortcoming here, hopefully, as we approach a trade, the draft lottery, I should say, which is next Monday. So looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and if a coaching hire happens, we are definitely going to be talking about it. And so the way you can stay up to date on everything we're going to be saying and our reactions to all the news that's going to be coming up over the next week or so with the Blackhawks is to make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't yet,
Sure.
and hit that notification bell so that you know when we go live. Everything we do pretty much on this channel is live, so it's important to know when we're going live. Follow us on Instagram too at Chicago Hockey Radio, as well as X and TikTok. We're on all those platforms. And then if you listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, 5-star rating and review helps us out so much on those platforms. And tell a friend. If you got a friend that likes hockey, if you got a friend that likes the Blackhawks, hell, if you've got a friend that's maybe just a cool person that you think, man, you'd really like CHR because, well, I don't want to say we're cool people, because I don't. We kind of suck, but maybe they'd like CHR. So let them know about our show and spread the good word. Justin, I will see you Monday, I guess. No stream tonight, unfortunately. No stream tomorrow night, but we'll be back this coming week, I'm sure, with plenty of streams. So we will see you then. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.